All right. A little early than the 8:30 here, or whatever time zone you are in right now. Let's see if this is working. Am I on? Am I online? Is there anybody out there? No. Let's see. Let's hey William, how you doing, man? Let's see if I can get uh trying to figure out how to add people in if they want to jump in. The trip was good. Um, it was difficult letting the kid go because I'm not going to see her till August. She's going to be with grandma and grandpa for a month. So, um, yeah, it was rough leaving. Um, the wife picked her up today. Her and grandma went down to Huntsville and saw her graduation. Had a whole length there. So, yeah, it was good. Uh, how's digging going? Oh, there we go. Invite. Copy. How do I paste here? Do you think it maybe because it's holiday weekend coming up? Right on. Let's see if I can get this on here. Oh, there we go. Yeah, if you want to join in. This isn't going to be recorded as far as. Oh, God. Dogs. Yeah, jump on in if you want to. Hey, Scott. I got the link. If you want, let me try this again. See if you want to join in too. So I just put up the link there, Scott. If you want to come on here. Just dealing with the dogs, having some beers, because nothing's going on tonight. So I figured I'd jump on here and hang out with my YouTube friends. So, cheers. At Tipsy Tuesday. So I called it Free for All Friday. Oh, right on, Scott. So, in the meantime, when these guys are hopefully getting on, I think I might do my second quarter of the year fine since my record buy has been coming to a grinding halt. I mean, a few things, or a thing here or there. But it's been slow these last few months. Just got trips coming up, so I got to save up for it, and just can't be buying a whole lot. So got me some Rainier, as you might have seen in a few videos about the beer salt. I've been putting that in here too, just to add in a little bit of flavor there. So I don't know if I'm part of the 3 that's on here. If you're not William or Scott, say hi. So anyway, what else is going on? Not a whole lot. I was just watching from 12 years ago. I was watching. Hey. I was watching the Pearl Jam documentary, PJ20, and it's Seattle footage of Seattle from decades ago. It looks so much different now. So that's kind of cool. Let's see what else was kind of cool in that. There's a few shots of Eddie Vedder. He's wearing a shirt that says Nude Dragons on it. And I can't remember if it was mine and my wife's first time or second time out here, but I saw that name on the marquee at the Showbox Market. It's across the street from the world famous Pike Place Market, and it's a Nude Dragons, all one word. And it was like that night, having no idea what Nude Dragons was. Well, this was 2009. 2009. And if you, sorry, William, add to stream. 2009. And Scott.
Hey,
sorry. Hey, I'm sorry. I'm not used to 2009
hosting these things.
And Scott.
Hey,
sorry. Let's see. I'm gonna try to do something different here. They keep the cat.
What's the other cat. Name? He just wandered in, so I thought I'd show him.
I got Bella here.
Aw.
So hey, William.
Hey, what's going on, guys?
Not much. How you doing?
We're doing good. Sorry, my cat is sleeping.
I have a small zoo here. I have 3 dogs, 3 cats, and my daughter has a rabbit that I still have to I got to take care of at some point tonight.
She has the rabbit, but really you have the rabbit?
Yeah, when she says she wants to have another pet, I'm like, you barely take care of this one.
Yeah.
So no. So what's been going on with you guys?
Hey, I'm hearing a little echo.
I heard that too. Let's see. Because I got earbuds in, so I was trying
that might be Scott. Do you have like a set of earbuds or something?
Yeah. Let me grab them.
Okay. Yeah, that'll help. Sorry, might cause some vertigo if I'm moving around here. But
So, what beer did you say you're drinking, Trevor?
I am drinking Rainier.
Okay. I mean, I almost was gonna guess.
No, we got these glasses a long time ago. They're like these Newcastle, like a summer one. This really cool Irish bar in Tacoma. They're like, if you order this beer, you'll get the glass with it. And we're like, all right, cool. So we've had them for years. I don't think I've ever seen this Newcastle, this version of, was it Summer Ale? I don't think I've ever seen it any other time. But yeah, Rainier is just your basic beer. Nothing special about it. So that's why I've been adding in these. You might have seen them on Aaron and Jeff's channel, but those beer salts. I sent them.
Is that better?
You sounded good before, William. How does you sound?
The only thing is I was getting some feedback.
Huh.
So
Okay.
Hello?
It should.
How about now?
I could hear you great.
Okay.
Hey, unplug your earphones for a second. And then start talking.
Hello. Check. 1,
Okay.
2.
It sounded a little better with your headphone jack in.
Okay.
So it just sounded a little more full.
Okay.
There you go. Okay.
I'm new to the streaming as well. I hosted
too.
my first stream was kind of a disaster. I was using a laptop and it kept timing out and crashing. So
it's all good. No, I just started doing StreamYard. I mean, I got a VC channel that I just started, and I'm like under 100 subscribers right now. But I've just been practicing like live streams and all that. And I'd like to maybe do a Sunday show where we get like a round table of sorts. I don't know where we get. I don't know what you guys think of that, but
I'm all about the live streams. Steve and I are going to be doing our regular, like every other week. We're going to be doing and so this Sunday we're doing ours, and we're just keeping it. Well, I probably shouldn't say how we're doing it, but we're going to have one guest on there. We found with our conversation, it just seemed like it was real easy to do it that way. So supposedly this Sunday we're going to have Marsha P come on.
Okay.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to actually having a conversation with her aside from the comments because we're from the same area. So that should be cool. So. And now, Scott, you said, no, you're in Kalamazoo, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. I don't know where I got Canada from. You go into Montreal, maybe that thought.
I think that might have done it because you're not the only one. I've heard even recently some people shouted me out and said, I think you might be in Canada. Okay.
Yeah, we were there last summer. We drove to there and then left. So, because my wife went to Western.
Oh, okay. Yep, me too.
So, yeah, and since we had the kid, it was kind of hard, but we wanted to hit Bell's, get some Oberon.
Oh yeah.
Hang on, hold on. You guys talk amongst yourselves. I gotta wrangle these dogs. I'm gonna put on mute.
Yeah, you're good. So you're from Michigan?
Yep. Kalamazoo, Michigan. Yeah, I've always lived here. Basically, I grew up here. I went to college here. Stayed here. So
yeah, you're a Detroit Rock City kind of guy, then, right?
I mean, kind of. We're about 2 hours from Detroit. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Are you like a big Stooges, MC5?
More MC5 than Stooges, but Stooges is more. I'm just a bit more ignorant about
Okay.
all that they put out. But yeah, MC5 for sure.
Yeah, no, they're big. Ann Arbor, kind of that area. I know. So, that's actually my dad is originally from Ann Arbor, and my older brother, so they didn't live there for very long. But yeah, no, I guess. Gosh, I guess when people mention where they're from, I start to think of like bands and music. Like, so is like Eminem
Right.
pretty big up there?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Okay. I mean, he's big everywhere. I don't know
Right,
if that's a
right.
question.
Eminem, Kid Rock,
White Stripes.
White Stripes. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
and Jack. But let's see who else. Well, Insane Clown Posse. I mean, I guess
There
they're
you go.
still big.
I
mean,
guess I don't ever hear about them anymore, but I
Mixed
guess
market.
yeah, they still do their big gathering thing, don't they?
Yeah. No, it's funny. The first time I ever heard of Eminem was from the guy who produced ICP. His name's Mike Clark, not to be confused with if anyone knows the Drew and Mike show. That was also Mike Clark. This is a different guy. But he would come into my record store all the time. So I got to know him pretty good. And he was asking me, he's just like, have you ever heard of this Eminem guy? I'm like, I have no idea what you're talking about. And then, I don't know, about 6 months later, Slim Shady LP came out, and that blew up instantly. So,
well, I know a little more about ICP than I really want to admit, or that I probably should know. my younger brother was really into them, so I guess in their lore, they claim that Eminem would like put out flyers saying that he was doing a show and ICP was going to be there, and they didn't even know who he was. Like back when Eminem didn't have a record deal or anything, so
right,
they considered him kind of a coattail rider, and then he blew up.
Right.
I don't know.
Even
Who knows
bigger.
if it's true, but yeah.
Hey, I mean, I guess that's probably part of the game,
Right.
just to get some eyes on you.
Yeah.
Hey guys,
But,
are you going to be on for a long time tonight?
I have no schedule tonight.
Okay. I was going to make a beer run. Are you guys going to be back? Like, if I came back in like 15 minutes?
Oh yeah, I
15,
just got
yeah.
on.
Yeah, because watching you drink that beer is making me thirsty. So,
Nice.
But yeah, give me just like it has to be within 15 minutes because they close in 15 minutes. So
Oh, go for it, man. Go,
All right.
go.
I'll be back.
Drive
in a bit.
fast.
All right.
Yeah. And drive safe. So, so have you been out to Pine Knob?
Actually, only once.
Okay.
I was there once with an old girlfriend. She wanted to see REM, and it was kind of a nightmare. I don't know what it's like now, but driving in and out of there was just like a disaster. I don't know if they've improved it.
So was that like in the 80s, I guess, maybe?
It was like the late 90s.
Oh, late 90s, man. Okay. Because I always thought that they had that down to a science. Now, like where Pine Knob's at, I grew up 2 miles north of
Oh,
Pine
okay,
Knob.
cool.
So that was my backyard.
Okay.
In fact, when graduating high school, that's where we had our commencements. Was at Pine Knob.
Oh, really? Nice.
Yeah. So yeah, I remember I was in band, so I wasn't graduating, but I was playing in the, to play the commencement music and stuff. So me and my buddy are on the stage. No one's there. And this was 1987. And I'm standing on stage right, which if you're facing that would be on the left side. And I'm like, this is where Cliff Burton stood,
Yeah.
and I'm pointing, I'm like, and that's the seat I was in 5th row on the edge right there.
Oh, nice.
So,
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe there was something going on when I was there.
Okay.
Yeah, because I was like, I can't believe that it's this terrible getting in and out. Maybe something was being torn up. I don't know.
Yeah, possibly because, they have that calendar so full, so they got something going on almost every night. I think there might be a couple nights where they don't have something.
Yeah.
But getting in and out, it always seemed like, especially in the last several times I went, it was like smooth getting out.
Okay.
Because they didn't let anyone in. So
Right.
they were letting. So if you're taking the main entrance, I guess, all 4 lanes were going out. So if you're in the left lanes, you're heading south down Sashbaugh towards I-75. Take the right lanes, you're going like into Clarkston itself.
Okay.
So, and then there's like a couple other exits for like the townies that know where to go.
Okay.
So little secret ones. So, but yeah, I miss that place. It's just I every time I'm in town, there's nothing there that I want to see.
Well, look, I mean, lately, the last 20 years or so, most of the things I'm interested in seeing don't go there.
Right.
I'm usually more excited about some band no one's heard of in some crappy bar in either Hamtramck or Chicago somewhere. So that's where I usually go.
Right. Oh yeah, I'm way more about the clubs than the big show. It's just like I said, that's my literally my hometown.
Yeah.
So just because all the memories there, that'd be cool. But yeah, then it's also, as everyone's complaint, it's just the finance to go to a show is ridiculous.
Yeah.
You know, there's no reason for a ticket to be in the triple digits or more.
Oh yeah, triple digits. That's that might get you nosebleeds in some of the bigger shows I'm seeing now.
Right. Well, hell, even when I'm taking Gracie Go in August, similar to Pine Knob out here, and when the tickets went on sale, lawn wasn't available, so I only could buy pavilion. So I got the back, and after all the service charges, they were like $100 a piece, which to a lot of concerts that people go to, that's a bargain right there. But I'm not used to that. I'm used to going to the club and, $30 ticket.
Right. Yep.
Yeah. And just being, in with the crowd. And yeah. So have you seen anyone recently?
Well, let's see. Well, there was Merlion, of course, but then, I did see Electric Frankenstein. Are you familiar with them?
Yeah. Was that in Detroit?
That was in Grand Rapids.
Oh, okay.
That was
sorry, Mark is on there too. Hey, Mark.
Oh, no problem.
I don't know if he's staying on or not. I was in Grand Rapids. At the intersection?
Pyramid Scheme, which is a newer place. It's really near. Well, you probably haven't been to the intersection since they moved, right?
I've never been to the intersection. The only place I've been to was the Orbit Room.
Okay.
I've been there once to see Slayer.
Okay. Yeah, that's gone now.
Yeah, I saw some pictures of it. Yeah, it got leveled, and
they had one too many rap concerts there that ended badly. So I think that was the end of that place.
Yeah, it was a cool venue.
Yeah.
Kind of like your experience of trying to get out of Pine Knob, getting out of that place.
Oh yeah.
It seemed like, okay, what is there one door?
Right.
Everyone's going out.
Right.
Oh, let me get the dog in here. I can hear you. I'm just trying to get the dog. Come on, Hendrix. Come on,
yeah, Orbit Room had the advantage of you're basically in a giant mall parking lot, so there's plenty of parking and it's free. And
right.
They got some cool shows for quite a while, but
yeah, I never really went outside the Metro Detroit area for shows. I didn't do road trips that much.
Yeah. Well, I mean, for you really didn't have to.
No, because, a lot of stuff came to us. The only reason why we went to this one was Lombardo had just come back to Slayer. And they were in the middle.
Dude, we're at the same show. I was at that show too. Yeah.
Okay. And me and my buddy drove. What is that on 96 all the way out there? It was an ice storm.
Yeah, probably. Okay.
It was an ice storm, and we made it there. We got a Motel 6 just to crash for the night because we weren't driving back.
Yeah.
And yeah, got in there. Hate Breed opened up.
Oh yeah. Oh
Um,
yeah. That was in that like 3-year span where I think I saw Hate Breed like 6 times, and I don't like Hate Breed.
Yeah, I
Every
don't think
show I went
ever-
to, they opened.
Yeah, I never saw them on purpose. Same thing like Megadeth. I've never seen them on purpose.
Oh, really?
And I've seen them like 10 times. And
Yep.
they just happened to be at the same show. But yeah, that was a badass show because it's just like you saw like what was it, like a decrepit church scene, and then the lights went down and like all the UV hit it. So there's like all this like glowing graffiti all over it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
yeah, that was really cool. But yeah, that was the only time I went to that place was that show. So that's cool. Same show. Nice.
Yeah. I've seen that a lot since I started making videos, just talking to people, like people from Milwaukee bring up a show, and yep, I was there, and just
Right.
weird. Like 20 years later, you meet somebody and you're like, hey, we're at the same show.
Right. Yeah. What was it? So you being on the west side of the state, you hit Chicago?
Yeah.
Some of the bigger ones?
I used to prefer Chicago because I would use it as an excuse to go blow my paycheck on records.
Yeah.
Not so much anymore. Now, Detroit is slightly closer to me. And usually the venue is more convenient. So I'm leaning more towards Detroit lately.
Okay. I wish I could have made it out there. Emperor just played there, I guess.
Yep.
Man,
I know.
that would have been so awesome.
We just got back. Well, not just. This Sunday we got back from Yellowstone. So we were gone for 10 days. And yeah, we already had it all planned and everything booked. And then the Emperor announced that show. I was like, shit. But what do you do?
Yeah, when what was it? Emperor played last year at Psycho Las Vegas, and a good buddy of mine from Detroit now lives in Vegas. He went to it, and I was in Traverse City at the time. So I'm like, yeah, but I'm with my family.
Yeah.
Like, God damn, that would have been really cool to be at that too.
Did you ever see him?
No.
Okay.
No, I've always wanted, out of all the whole black metal, they're definitely my favorite.
Yeah. I consoled myself. I've seen him twice. So, it'd be cool for sure, but it's not like one of these never going to have another chance to see them and it's now or never. I've seen them, so.
Yeah, I'm getting like that now because of my work schedule. Weekday shows do not happen at all because I get up at 2 a.m. So
right.
So a lot of the shows I want to see, they're like on a Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, sometimes even Fridays are rough.
Yeah.
So though, like Flogging Molly, they're playing here on a Sunday, and I got vacation days. I got paid time off days, so I'm taking that Monday off.
Okay, cool.
I mean, great band, but mostly because, and this isn't like, bragging or anything, but their drummer, Mike, is an old friend of mine. So,
awesome.
That's when I get to see my friends from home is when they're on tour.
Yeah, right.
So I try to make time, for them.
Yeah.
Unless it's just absolutely impossible, but.
Yeah, those weekday shows are rough, and I'm not in the same situation as you, but I work second shift. So any weekday show is at least one day off because otherwise I'd be working. And then if it's far enough away, I used to just whatever. I'd get home at 4 a.m. and then crash for a couple hours and get up and go to work. But the years are creeping up. I can't do that anymore. So that makes 2 days off.
Yeah, I've thought about that because there was like certain shows. I'm like, I would have to take 2 days off just to, be good for the day of the show.
Yeah.
And then the next day.
Yeah.
Because and especially me being a truck driver,
you can't. Right.
You don't want a tired truck driver on the
No.
roads.
No.
So, but like that Ghost show, that's on a Friday. I'm taking the day off
Yeah.
for that.
Right.
So be good and fresh, because I've done those Friday ones where I work all day, come home, get cleaned up, go to the show, and then I'm just miserable the whole time because I'm just so tired.
Right.
And it's just like, well, why am I even putting myself through this? So, my job is, I've never had this much time available to me at a job. So,
Okay.
it's strange, but I'll take it. So
I'm trying to remember. Is it mostly Grace that's into Ghost, or is it both of you equally, or more her?
it's probably more me, because I'm like into it. I think she got interested in it, and she likes him a lot because that's what she just knows. I don't know. I'd have to ask her, but I mean, she doesn't know about this show coming.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So I still haven't told her, and that makes it easier with her being gone for a month. I don't have to talk about it, but she comes back here 2 days before the show. So
Okay, cool.
That'll
be fun.
Yeah, I got this scheme. I'm gonna tell her that I have a friend that's a photographer. He wants us as subjects, but we got to get dressed up in concert gear and be dressed up for it. And then we're just gonna drive out to the big shed out here. I'm not even telling her then. I'm waiting to see her face.
Yeah.
When she's like all like Ghost shirts.
Right.
Sorry, did I freeze up there?
It did for me. I wasn't sure if it was me or you.
No, it's probably me, because in fact, Steve was making fun of me on the last video or the last stream we did, because he's just like, you live in Seattle, which is like, in second place to, Silicon Valley in technology. You have the shittiest internet. But I got Xfinity coming tomorrow to hopefully get us better stuff, because my wife, she does video conferencing, and she freezes up all the time, and she's just like, I'm sick of this. So
yeah. I've had tons of problems with it. First it was my phone, and then it was something else, and then I use a laptop, and then that sucked. So I always assume it's me if there's a problem.
Yeah, no, if it freezes up, if I freeze up, it's because of me, and if I see you guys freezing up, it's because my stuff's freezing up.
Okay.
So I'll take the L on that one.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I need to give Ghost more of a shot. When the first one came out and there was all that hype, I listened to it and I was like, oh, okay, that's cool. And then I did see them open for Opeth and Mastodon.
Right,
and
that tour.
And that was cool. And then the second album came out, and I remember listening to, I don't even remember what I heard, but I listened to like half of it, and I was like, I don't like this, and I never listened to him since. So,
yeah, I got into him during the first album, and I dug it a lot. I liked the retro sound of that album, and they were doing a small headline tour. And I saw him at this place that holds, 600 people. And,
okay, nice.
It's short ceiling. It's not big at all. And it was fantastic. It was awesome. And I get what you're saying about that second record. I didn't get it at first, but subsequent listens, I got more into him. Saw him again on that tour. And then the next record, it got even more easily digestible.
Okay.
So, and I even saw him on that tour, and and all these were in clubs. So and all the shows seemed a bit same. And so I'm like, okay, I get the gist of it. I don't need to see him again. Well, fast forward a couple of years later, and the kid is asking me about Ghost. I'm like, and it just reignited my interest in it. So I mean, and truth be told, there's not a lot of things that her and I do together, just the two of us.
Right.
So I'm really clinging on to this.
Yeah.
So.
I get it. Yeah, my son and I, I successfully brainwashed him into liking wrestling, so we have that.
There you go.
But his music, he could not give a crap about anything I like. So, yeah, hold on to what you got, man.
Yeah. How old's your kid?
13.
Okay, so not too far off. Just a 3-year difference.
Okay.
So. But yeah, and plus, I know when she becomes an actual numerically a teenager, I know it's just gonna suck from that.
Yeah.
I don't want anything to do with you guys.
Yeah, I'm waiting. I know it's coming, but so far he still thinks I'm kind of cool, so I'm holding on to it.
Well, and yeah, with my dad in the last several years, it's just like, wow, he was a bit of a badass. He played in bands in high school, like not only school band, but like a covers rock band.
Okay.
And several times he opened up for this guy called Bob Seger.
oh, that underground, underappreciated guy, Bob Seger. Yeah.
At the time, pretty much.
He was. Really? Okay.
Yeah, this was 66, 67. So this was Bob Seger and the Last Herd.
Oh, okay.
RD. So, but that's where like the original songs like Heavy Music and East Side Story. This is what I have to deal with these guys.
There's something they got to tell you.
This guy, this big one, this behemoth, is about 15 months old. Here, I'm gonna get you guys some chew sticks. How about that? Shut up. Of course, let's get their attention. But so yeah, he did a couple shows with Seeger, and I know he didn't do shows with him, but he had seen bands like the MC5. So.
Oh, nice.
Club days.
Yeah, I saw the pseudo reunion show they did, or that little tour they did right before COVID, I think.
Yeah, the one with Kim Thale and Billy Gold. And,
yeah.
Who was on drums? Was it?
Oh, jeez.
Was it? It wasn't the guy from Screaming Trees, was it?
I think it might have been. They did. I think they had a bunch of rotating spots because I think Doug Pinnick played bass in some of the shows, but it wasn't the show I was at.
Okay.
It was cool, but it was kind of like, I don't know if I'd build it up too much in my head. I mean, I knew who was there, right. But then I'm watching it and I was like, I don't know. It's like a cool tribute band. I don't know. Like,
I wanted to go that here. It was like a day before or after my birthday, and I was going to treat myself. But it was like one of those weekday type things. And I was going to even go as far as, not that I've ever done this before, but I was going to buck up and do the meet and greet.
Oh, okay.
Thing. Because it was like $150. But you got like his new book at the time, Wayne's new book, and just a hangout session and all that stuff. And I just didn't pull the trigger. That's one of those regrets. It would have been cool because then if you were able to meet some of the other band members, because like me being a gigantic Faith No More fan, I mean, I would have been all over Billy Gold.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, actually, Wayne, he's a cool guy. I have met him before.
Oh, okay.
One after one of his shows. I think the album was called Dangerous Madness. It was his second solo album, and he played at the Shelter,
Yep.
the basement of St. Andrews. And a friend of mine was working at the bar, and she was telling security, "Is just like, let him stay. He's cool." and this is before meet and greets and stuff like that.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
or especially the paid ones. And then another time, if this doesn't get recorded, I was going to save this for Steve because he's a fan of the band. But I was seeing the Helicopters.
And, awesome!
This is at the Magic Stick. Have you been there?
Okay. Yes, that's the one. Isn't that it in with a bunch of different other venues, like in a big complex thing?
Yeah, it's the Majestic complex.
Yeah. Okay.
It's the upstairs thing. And I want to say it was like a holiday weekend. It was either like Memorial Day weekend or Labor Day weekend, one of the two. I just remember it being hot. And they were opening, Helicopters were opening for the Super Suckers. So, hell of a double bill.
Hell yeah.
And I think the New Bomb Turks were on that bill too. But the bar was like 10 people deep all around. And I'm like, fuck this. I went downstairs to the bowling alley and no one's there. I grab a beer, I turn around, and I literally bump into Wayne Kramer.
Oh, wow.
What are you doing here? As if I know him,
Right.
Like we're friends or something. He's just like, oh man, I'm going to go out and jam with the Helicopters for a couple songs. Like, fuck yeah, you are. He's like,
that's awesome.
Don't say anything. Like, lips sealed. So,
yeah.
He came out and jammed with the Helicopters. So yeah, the Helicopters with Wayne Kramer for a few songs is just
nice,
incredible. But
yeah, I never made it to see the Helicopters. It was always didn't work out. I'll catch them next time, and then never happened.
Yeah, then they fizzled out. I saw them the second time they came around. They played the Shelter, and I don't know if you ever seen the DVD, or it's probably on YouTube, but the DVD was called Goodnight Cleveland, I think. But
okay,
it just shows them on tour, and they have a really kind of decent sized section of the Detroit show, not of the show itself, but of that day, because they went to WDET and performed live.
Okay,
and then they're hanging out in the back parking lot with some people that I actually know, and they're giving them gifts of CDs and videotapes and all kinds of shit. And, they play the gig, and they're in the backstage area, which at the Shelter is like an auxiliary bar. And you see the curtains open up, and this guy saying, "Hey man, you want to go to the Grandy Ballroom? I know where it's at. It's in this really shitty area of Detroit." I'm like, "Yeah, no thanks, man." I'm like, "Yeah, that's my friend Sean, who is like completely wasted then." So, yeah, that was funny to see, because I'm watching the DVD. I'm like, "Oh shit, there he is."
Where do you fall on your favorite Helicopters era? I know, because I'm like first two albums.
I'm really bad with the names of their albums, but was it Rock Grande?
Yeah, Grande Rock. Yeah,
or Grande Rock. Yeah, that's my favorite of it.
Okay.
So much my favorite, I can't even get the name right. And then the last one I got was like the one where they had like on the cover they got the superimposed wings. Like
now I'm not gonna remember now. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, that was, I think, the last one I got.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, that was that time of the garage rock coming back. Which I mean, and in Detroit, that was a big thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Along with there's William. There you go. Sorry, you
Hey,
weren't
guys.
waiting long, were you?
Oh, it was a little bit. No big deal.
Sorry.
Success, I see.
So what you got there? It looks like Sierra Nevada, or
No, it's a Goose Island IPA. They're kind of Chicago brewery.
okay.
Funny thing is, we have Rainier actually in Nebraska. We can get it, or I've seen it here before.
Okay.
And the one place I looked, I did check for it, but I don't know, man. I just have a weird taste for beer sometimes. In fact, I love IPAs because when I lived out in Seattle, like I kind of caught the taste bud out there for IPAs.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, maybe I told you the story already, but Fremont Brewing Company out in Fremont area, so like right next to Ballard. But
right.
I had a little temp job there for a couple weeks, and we got this like big shipment, this pallet of like hops in one day, and our job was like to take it from bucket to bucket, and I just spent like 2 hours like getting a big whiff of hops in my and I got off work that day, and all I wanted to drink was an IPA. So and ever since then I've pretty much been hooked. So I was kind of off the IPA kick for maybe a couple weeks only. This is the first IPA I guess I've had in a few weeks, I guess. But yeah, Goose Island India Pale Ale. The last IPA I had was a Goose Island called Bear Hug, and it's the worst IPA I've ever had. So it was so bad that I had to stop drinking IPAs for like a few weeks. But I was when I was picking out a beer tonight, this has always been a good go-to for me. So and it was just like I need a good go-to. I didn't want to spend too much money or anything.
Mm-hmm.
I would always drink Elysian out there in Seattle, but then you can get that
customers.
Yeah, no, you can get that anywhere because it's like they sold to Anheuser-Busch, so it's like now you can get that all over the country.
I remember when they sold to Anheuser-Busch because I was working for another trucking company and I brought them a bunch. I was delivering a bunch of Budweiser to them. And I'm like, this is weird. I mean, you guys make your own beer. Why are you getting cases of Budweiser? But,
yeah.
And then that was just a regular trucking company I was working for. Now that I work in gases and liquid versions of gases, that's one of our customers that we go to. And yeah, I was there all the time delivering liquid nitrogen to them. But do you remember a beer, Mac and Jack?
I don't. Well, who makes it?
Mac and Jack. That's the name. They're out in Redmond.
Okay. No, I know. There's just so many tiny little breweries out there in Washington.
Yeah.
Like people start breweries out of the garage. Like that's what Fremont was started out of the guy's garage.
Okay.
And I don't know. It's like I think that's a goal, like a retirement plan for a lot of people. It's just like, hey, let's make a brewery, sell it to Anheuser-Busch, and retire. So
might as well. Yeah.
Some people have, if you're good at it, more power to you.
Right. Well, Mac and Jack is pretty much my only local beer. I can't call Rainier local because they got bought out by.
Yeah.
Was it Miller? One of the, or
I don't know.
Whoever does Pabst. But yeah, they got bought out too, so I can't call that a local beer. But Mac and Jack is pretty much my only local that I dig on.
Yeah,
Especially
I mean,
their African amber is really good.
It's local until they sell out, so
right. But
which I think that's kind of like the goal.
Yeah, especially you get later on. I mean, it's kind of like kind of tying it back into the whole music thing. You see these legacy artists selling off their music, getting hundreds of millions of dollars for their publishing.
Yeah.
No,
so, music's a whole different ballgame, though.
Right. But it's weird that they get to that point that, well, I don't know if I can make much more money. I mean, I know I'm in my 70s. I might as well just sell this off and live off that.
Yeah, I guess it's I always struggle with sitting on the sidelines and judging what artists do. This album sucks, or you sold your music to a commercial. What a freaking sellout! But it's their decision, and I understand. Like, if it takes a lot of, I guess, legwork and effort to keep a hold of your publishing and deciding what to do with it, and then you're going to die, and you have to decide what's going to happen with it. It's a lot easier to say, "Oh yeah, give me $100 million, sure," and then you're done with it. And your kids and your grandkids are set up.
Right. I have no issues with it. I've heard I guess when I was in high school, the big thing was Metallica sold out.
Oh yeah.
So I don't know how far back you guys go about that whole Metallica cutting their hair, but I mean everyone gets nitpicky, and the thing is like, why do these guys become musicians? It's so that they can live an easy life.
Yeah.
And it's like, here we are, we're so judgmental, and we're just little peons who work these little jobs, and like even before Metallica sold out, they were already selling millions of records. So it's like,
right, yeah,
I don't know. I think people, like when I was a kid, were probably just looking for something to complain about, and I remember just people would in the 90s growing up, people would complain about the rock music, and now I feel like people look back on the 90s being like, God, we had it so good back then.
Yeah. Remember when rock songs were on the radio?
Remember when they were good on the radio?
Yeah. Yeah. I was a big baby about Metallica. I took it super personally. Like, they betrayed me. And I can, I was a kid, but Metallica was a big band, but in my school, there weren't that many people into it. And, you kind of get made fun of for listening to this stupid headbanging music, and then 6 months later, the football team all loves Enter Sandman. I was like, "Fuck you guys."
Yeah, that's all it takes. I mean, it's good. I'll tell you what, Enter Sandman is definitely good jock music.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
So, Scott, how old are you? You don't mind me asking?
I'm 48.
Okay. Yeah, I got the feeling with that, because I was already in Metallica. Their latest album at the time was Ride the Lightning.
Oh wow, okay.
So yeah, so I was in junior high when that came out, and so people would hear that, because we're playing it on our boom boxes, and they're thinking, "Oh my God, there's this awful noise." Well, come a couple albums later, Metallica's got a video out on MTV with one.
Mm-hmm.
All of a sudden, those same people that were complaining about it, they're at, as we were talking about earlier, at Pine Knob. They're, seeing those same people that are complaining at the same show. So,
right. Yeah.
I knew then that I was, losing my band.
Right.
So,
right.
And I know I should be, the more the merrier type thing. It's just, like we were talking about earlier, I would much rather be in a club with 300 people,
right,
than, at the big arena with 20,000 or a stadium. And, I still get asked, "Hey man, you going to go see Metallica next year when they come here?" I'm like, no. Right. I saw them 12 times back in the day, and no, I don't need it.
Yep.
It's funny just kind of talking about bands that blow up and get big. And I worked at a music store. I probably, early mid, kind of more mid 20s range. And back then, when you're working at the music store, it's not cool to these big, multi-platinum arena rock bands. You got to like the indie bands or whatever. But it's just funny, when you talk about bands and standing the test of time. Like very, 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 very few indie rock bands like are still around today. Like, and I'm talking about bands like, you know, in my mid 20s when I was, you know, even you know, I think you know, I remember do you guys know the band Interpol?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I remember when they came through, their first album had just came out. They played a show in front of like 10 people.
Right.
And then they get big. And you know, hey, I mean, that's the thing is like it doesn't even really, you talk about Metallica being sellouts. I mean, it doesn't take very much for an indie rock band to be called a sellout.
Right.
And they don't even need to sell any more than 100,000 records. But you know, I mean, it's just kind of funny though to talk about like what records are we talking about today that are the important, great records that we grew up with, and very few of them are like these indie rock bands, and more of them are like we identify with like Metallica, the bands that people used to shit on, like you
Right.
know, 25 years and 30 years ago for like selling out or whatever, and now they're like, you know, I think what people like, I guess when I think of records. And one thing I talk about on my channel, and I think even on some live streams I've been on with Trevor, is all these common records that we used to be able to find in dollar bins that are now like selling for $20 all of a sudden. So it's like, I think people speak with their dollar. So, you know, for example, like there's going to be, you know, millions of Fleetwood Mac rumors, and then there's going to be like millions of like, you know, Carly Simon records. So people speak with their dollar. They're going to pay $20 for rumors, but they're going to pay $3 for Carly Simon. So, you know, and times change too. I don't know. I'm like this whole like argument I just like put forth. Like I'm really, I've just been working on this way to like put it all into words. Like maybe you need to make like a documentary about it or something. I don't know.
No, it's definitely an interesting subject, and I could argue both sides quite easily. So
yeah. Or like, here we go. Here's a record that totally used to like go in the bargain bin all day, and now I can't even keep this in my store at $20. It's like it's just like what happened, man?
Right.
I mean, it's a good record though, but it's like, you know, I mean, yeah, I don't know. I got to pitch the topic, you know, appropriately, but you know, as I pass, here we go. 2 copies, the first Thin Lizzy record. So,
wow.
Yeah,
Nice.
I love having that one. See, there's a band, another band. Used to find a lot of those. I barely find Thin Lizzy records anymore.
Right.
No, I never
something
seen.
like and even something as big as Jailbreak, a beat up copy, you're still you know having to pay $25 for.
I mean, you may as well buy a reissue at that point.
Yeah,
and that's what I do. I really don't mind buying a reissue.
Yeah. You know, I was going to ask you guys, like, what do you guys? I mean, obviously, you would prefer to own an original, right? Or is it like that
because
anymore?
I have a couple originals. This was, well, I mean, in your diggings and stuff, and Scott, you probably might be familiar with them too. The Residents.
Yeah.
Okay. I like around 2000, 2001, I got obsessed with those guys. And I got an original pressing of Third Reich and Roll with all the inserts in it. And I think I paid $80 for it at the time. Now it's going for about $400.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, see, the Residents are one of those bands, their records are really hard to track down. That's like when they start going for like hundreds and hundreds of dollars. But I mean, fortunately for like stuff like that, Residents records have all been reissued.
Right. Yeah, there's tons of them out there.
Yeah.
I mean, not like Iron Maiden reissues or anything like that, but
well, yeah, but of course, like there's more of a demand for Iron Maiden reissues, and then also there are people out there who just collect the Iron Maiden records for the cover too.
Yeah.
which is sad. But
Yeah.
but hey, you know, the band makes money if they're, you know, buying them still.
I mean, they did have some of the most wicked covers ever.
Oh, absolutely. I mean,
Yeah.
that's how a lot of like the guys who, you know, well, speaking of Metallica again, like James Hetfield, he bought the first Iron Maiden record, never heard of them, just because the
Yeah.
cover looked cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. The
all
cover
about-
is everything. The cover, well, it's not everything, but cover plays a big role.
But going back on, you know, an original versus a reissue, especially late 80s, and there's not a ton on early 90s. I mean, yeah, mid 80s to late 80s, I will take a reissue over an original any day because, and I mean, again, with you going through the crate digging, you've probably noticed that a lot of those 80s, I mean, those things are so flimsy. I mean,
Yeah.
there's nothing to them.
Well, I'll tell you
because-
what, I love the flimsiness of it, though.
Do you? Okay.
Oh, totally. Yeah, I don't like what, like, because as soon as you feel it, it's like this is like an original, or like I mean, I don't expect anybody to like keep up with my videos that I make, but like I found an Undertones record from like it was an original, and when I was digging for it and I was looking, when I found the record, it was mixed in with a bunch of punk records that were represses. And it's like when I was going through these represses and then I pulled the original Undertones record out, it was just like the feeling of pulling the record out even
Okay.
just has like a whole lot more, like, you know, there's a lot more meaning to it in a way. I mean, it's just like a reissue is a reissue. And some of them are actually very cool. Like, for example, like Zombies Odyssey and Oracle, I had that Rhino reissue from like the late 80s. And it was just like something about it was just unique and super cool. And it was nice to own. So there are certain reissues out there that are like, hey, I can't have an original, but like this reissue is awesome. It sounds great. It's colored vinyl. I mean, of course, all day I'll take an original over any sort of reissue. But like some of the gimmicks that are coming out, like on Record Store Day, for example, like if you can't find an original, it's like, hey, this cool little gimmick is nice to have. And especially, I mean, I guess when I ask the question, original versus reissue, I mean, me personally, I like to have my favorite records. I like to have those original copies, if all possible. And then, like, you know, the records I just kind of casually like, you know, I wouldn't mind listening to every now and then or passing through my collection. I mean, I wouldn't mind a reissue on that kind of stuff.
Well, what was it? Was it Record Store Day 2021 where they had the 3 or 4 drops in a row, which I kind of like that method because then it's not all in one lump sum, kind of spread it out. Yeah, I want to say it was the July one, the second one was my biggest haul ever, but they had on there, and I got them both, but Fear the record.
Yeah, Fear the record.
Because prior to that, I'm looking up on Discogs. It was, you know, you're looking 80, 100, 120 bucks for a copy of that.
Yeah.
And then Cro-Mags, The Age of Quarrel, another one that, I mean, you're paying a minimum of 150 for that one. So I'm like, yeah, give me that
for sure. Yeah.
But
you know, you guys have seen the movie High Fidelity, right?
Yeah,
of course.
Okay, because that was like when that movie came out. That's like when I first started getting into records, and so there's that point where John Cusack says at the start of the movie, or like towards the start, where like his customers are looking out for like originals but not represses of I don't even remember.
Frank
Zappa records. Okay,
Yep.
So it was just like that. Like that's when I first started getting into records, and I remember like whenever I would look for a record, I would the original versus reissue would always like come up, and it was probably because of that moment in that movie. Or is it sort of like casted it kind of casted this impression of a record collector on me.
Right.
So, but with that said, it's like I still know the feeling. is like when you find an original copy of something, it's like, wow, you know, it does give you that feeling of elation. Whereas like, you know, you just go to the record store, you know, your retail record store, and you can buy, you know, your new reissue of like, you know, your Beatles Abbey Road reissue or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So, I mean, some records are definitely nice to have. You want to have them and be able to put them on the turntable. But like, there really is, it's like the feeling is truly priceless when you find the original artifact.
Yeah, I get that. It's just nowadays, it's so funny that when this vinyl boom started, you know, a few years ago, I just think back of like, you know, when I could go to the flea market and buy all these great titles for like $3.
Yeah.
You know, if I had Future Sight, man, you know, I could have just made a mint, not made a mint, but just accumulated my collection, because I'm not into selling stuff. I mean, I'll trade in if it's just something that I'm like, you know what, I am not going to listen to this anymore. You know, it's just taking up space.
Yeah. Hey,
well, so you can. Oh, I'm sorry. You can jump in on that cheap train now with CDs. They're giving CDs away. So I don't know if the CD will ever come back, but right now you can clean up.
Well, I'll tell you what, I've gotten creative with CDs. In fact, even tonight. So like, hey Scott, what's your channel? Real quick while I
No Solution.
So I've subscribed to a bunch of new people in the VC, so I don't know if I'm subscribed to you.
I'm not subscribed to you either. Is it your name?
It's just William V Taper, the William V Taper channel, but it's Pumping Vinyl with William V Taper. So Pumping Vinyl is my Discog store.
Oh, okay, cool.
Shameless plug, but anyways, no, I didn't mean to interrupt. So, but
no problem.
No. So if I typed in like Scott No Solution,
I think just No Solution.
Okay.
My icon is a couple of cats, because I think there are a couple No Solutions.
Okay, no, I'll find it here. Just give me a second.
No problem. But yeah, I've been the few local stores I still go to, I've been finding just crazy deals on CDs, like $2-3 for, and it's not junk. It's like imports and power metal stuff. And
really,
do you go to Goodwills?
I do. They're few and far between, but I mean, every once in a while, like one time I walked in and bought like almost the entire Jethro Tull discography for $1 a piece.
Okay.
Oh,
no, that's nice. So like what do they charge for what do they charge for a CD at the Goodwill? Sorry, I'm looking for your cats here.
Oh, no problem. The one nearest to me is still 99 cents for CDs.
Oh, that's not bad.
I've heard some of them have started pumping them up though.
I'll tell you what. So I live in Omaha, Nebraska, Midwest, and Goodwill's, no joke, 59 cents a CD.
Nice.
But then there's a couple other thrift stores that do it more like 3 for $1. And then lately at garage sales. So if you catch my channel, I do a lot of vinyl record digging at garage sales, or I try to score a lot of them at garage sales.
Mm-hmm.
But if they don't have records, I always ask about CDs. And I do really well with CDs at garage sales too, almost better than records. But then there's a local record store I have here in Omaha that still takes in CDs and still does very well with them. So I will go around to garage sales, Goodwills, and I mean, I'm paying almost next to nothing. I'm paying like, 63 cents after tax.
Right.
And then I can trade them in to the record store downtown. And I don't know, sometimes I feel like I'm stealing from them. It's like they give me that good offer, but no, it's especially nice because I mean, I run my little online shop, my little Discogs account, and sometimes when stuff is going really slow, selling homers like a big old box of CDs is kind of nice to nice little pad of cash to have.
Right.
So William, have you checked out like Dollar Tree?
I have actually. So there's Dollar Tree, Dollar General,
Right.
and Family Dollar. I don't go in there a lot, but they have some CDs. Typically what they have is stuff that I can't like. Okay, so
That you can't flip. It'd
right,
be difficult to that that
right.
they're not
It's
going to
budget line stuff.
Right.
So basically,
Okay.
like if you can pay $5 for it at Dollar General, you can pay $5 for it on Discogs and get it shipped to you for that much too.
Yeah.
Right.
So like $1 plus shipping. So,
So it's
I
kind of
mean,
a moot point.
yeah. So like I've gone into Big Lots. You guys have a Big Lots in your area?
Yeah.
So Big Lots has some CDs, and sometimes they have like a really cool CD. Like they've had some like Willie Nelson or Pearl Jam in there before, but they started carrying vinyl, and I'm like, what the? Started going in there and I started looking at some of their records. It's really like bad vinyl though. So like, for example, like Kane Brown. Do you guys know Kane Brown?
No.
Kane Brown
Country.
is like, country,
Okay.
but he's like a black country artist.
Okay.
But I think he's like half black, half white kind of thing. So it's not like Charlie Pride or anything. But I mean, I don't know how well they do with that stuff with the vinyl that they carry. There's like one Big Lots location here in Omaha that I stop into occasionally, and I only stop in there because there's a Target right next door to it. So I'll stop in there occasionally just to see what they have, but it's usually like, I could have got a Foo Fighters record there for like $20, which maybe I should have, but I mean, at the time that particular one wasn't that big of a deal. So
right at Big Lots, jeez,
yeah,
$20.
We're only, you got to think about it too. I mean, we got vinyl at Walmart, Target. So we're kind of on vinyl overload. And I was just thinking, like, I was telling a few of my buddies, like, we are just right around the corner of like walking into like TJ Maxx, Marshalls, finding records and like buying them for like $8. I wouldn't be shocked. I mean, we're already seeing them at Big Lots.
Yeah.
And like Target. So I did the Target clearance video. Let me just ask you, did you guys watch the Target clearance video by chance?
No.
I didn't.
Okay.
I'll look it up.
I just did a little live stream a couple weeks ago, and I just reviewed like the Target stuff because Target had a bunch of stuff that was like all 70% off, and I was getting like new albums that had just come out like this year, 2023, or like the end of 2022, getting them for like $8. Like they had the new Ozzy Osbourne for like $12. And it was just like I was like, that's when I went in and loaded up. So yeah, no, if you get a chance, it's like a quick 15-minute little live stream that I whipped up. But
See, I never catch those things like that or the annual Walmart.
Yeah, no, actually, that's kind of why I was doing my channel, was because I figured, for people who like the vinyl community, not everyone's doing like a Walmart or a Target video, but if like I'm doing a vinyl community channel and I do a Target video, then everyone in the VC sees, some Target vinyls on clearance or something. And it's like, you guys go out and get some. It's like, I feel like that helps everybody.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. It's definitely definitely spreading out the word.
Yeah. But I was kind of like doing that stuff for clickbait. And then like my Walmart video that I did for Black Friday got like 2,000 views. So I'm like, well, maybe I need to do more videos like that. It's like doing like big, like, reviewing like sale vinyl or whatever. So, I mean, I don't know. I do try to get pretty clickbaity on my channel because I don't know. I want people to watch.
Right.
But I realize that's what I like about the VC though, is like a lot of you guys are just like, you just want people to shoot the shit with about records or, so many people go out, look for records, find records, and they get excited about what they find. But I don't know if you guys can relate, but when I talk about the records I find or show people the records I find locally to people that I actually personally know, like it makes people jealous or it makes people mad. Like they're mad that I got a certain record. and they're mad that they got, I beat them to it or whatever. But you don't really deal with that in the vinyl community on YouTube.
No,
No, I haven't seen it anyway.
Yeah, it's like it's hard to get jealous. Like if you guys found a first copy of the first Stooges record, original press, like I would have no reason to really get upset. But if like the guy I know who lives on like 42nd and L finds that record, I'm gonna be like, fuck that dude,
Right? Yeah.
Well, I mean, yeah, we get like, oh, I'm jealous of that you have that, but it's all like, it's no big deal type thing. It's just like, yeah, that would have been cool to get, like, what was it? Gary at Physical Format Rock and Roll.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, he watched my '90s pressings that I got, the last video or one of the last videos I did, and I got a promo picture disc of this band called Drain STH. They're out of Stockholm, Sweden. Out of the '90s. They don't exist anymore, but it's an all-girl band. They sound a lot like Alice in Chains. It's really good, but he's just like, oh my, I didn't even know that they had vinyl at all, let alone a picture disc and it being promo. So, but it's like, little stuff like that, but I never get the, I should have that, not you.
Right.
Okay, yeah, no, because I guess I kind of deal with that a little bit in my city with just some people that I know, or like I know that there are people who like when I get the records, people get pissed off. People hate seeing like when I get records. Actually, let me throw this out there because the last 3 weeks I've had a lot of great luck at finding records at garage sales. So 3 weeks, this would be week 4. And I guess I still have some luck for the weekend. But this past Thursday, I went out to an estate sale, and online, the picture said that there were records. It looked like there were records, or I see a copy of the, like, Beatles 65 in the picture. And says it starts at 8 a.m. And funny thing is so I live in West Omaha, which is not typically known for having houses or garage sales with records. But this one lived like, a mile or two away from me. And it's 8 in the morning. And I'm thinking, all right, just set your alarm for 7:30, throw your whatever clothes on and just go grab these records first thing in the morning. And it's 7:30. I'm just like, maybe I'm slowly heading out of my apartment. But then I get to the sale and I'm like, even still like, 5 to 10 minutes early. And I go in and the records are already gone. And I ask him, so like, wait, weren't there some records? I mean, I thought the sale started at 8 a.m. And I'm here early. And they're like, yeah, someone came and got them already. And I guess, that's the funny thing about me making those live streams about finding records at garage sales is like, here in Omaha, I feel people are starting to catch on. Like I'm making YouTube videos now, and I'm almost wondering like if me making those videos about me having that luck, because I'm a little bit suspicious that some people that I know maybe are seeing my videos and now are trying to beat me to the estate sales and the garage sales, because it's just very strange that I arrived there like 10 minutes early and they're already gone.
Yeah.
Right. And they
gave away the secrets to your competition.
Yeah. But hey, that's okay, because I prefer to know that stuff, because now I need to get to, if the sale's at 8, I got to get there at 7:30 now.
Right.
Like last summer I did vinyl garage sale, and part of that was to be like, all right, well, let's see all the people who come here who I got to deal with when I'm not having this sale. So they all came out, and it's like, all right, some of them I'd seen before. And it's like, the thing is, like, I don't hate people who I'm in competition with, unless you do something like really shitty to me. So, right. Which I've had to deal with that a little bit here in Omaha, but.
And while you're saying about, being clickbaity, you have a good reason to, because this is part of your business. Whereas, a lot of us are just like, this is what we got, we're just showing it off.
Yeah. Well, and it's like
I mean,
I
I
gotta like be
understand your
careful. 'Cause I'm trying to grow my channel, and like at 100, I can't just make videos and be like, "Hey, I found this today. You can go to my Discogs account and you can buy it today, right now." I was like, that channel would be silly, if I
Right,
was
I get
just
that too. Yeah,
yeah,
then it's like QFC or not QFC, QVC.
yeah,
QFC is a grocery store. Never mind.
yeah,
Yeah, you don't want to, be that brazen about it, but
yeah,
there you do want to remind people that, yeah, I have a business, and if you're interested,
yeah.
Right.
Well,
but go ahead.
yeah. No, on my channel, it's like, the way I talk about records, I talk like I am a record flipper, but I feel like I do that without being like, go buy my record here. But then I do have like, when I run like my live stream, I put that, pumping vinyl, this little
Mm-hmm.
record so
Yeah.
people can see it as I'm, doing the video or whatever. But
Yeah, there's no problem with that.
yeah, but I feel like it'd be really weird for me to like come into the VC and just be like, "Hey guys, go check out my Discogs account and buy stuff." I mean, I don't want to be a little, advertisement whore on YouTube.
I guess you could do that, maybe at the end. I mean, like I know there was that. I mean, I did it at the beginning too, where hit the like, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell.
Yeah,
I stopped doing that like a year and a half ago because I'm like, people know what to do. If they like the stuff, they'll subscribe, whatever.
Right.
But
Right.
you have a different kink into it where, you have income with this stuff. So
yeah. Well, part of it was,
I know you don't want to be like, like a stereotypical car salesman and just be, really outlandish. But if you, mention at the end, kind of like the whole, like, hit the subscribe bell type thing, but, just make it kind of just in passing.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not too. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm sitting at like 60 subscribers or something like that. I mean, this is not like a priority. I kind of want to just come on, like when you started this live stream tonight. I was like, hey, that'd be cool to come on and shoot the shit for a little while tonight. I think so. It's like, I mean, it's when I started like watching these like VC channels anyway. It's like, these guys aren't like making these channels to, like make income. It's just like. It's like but it is like kind of like when you find that record, you want to show people and be like, "Hey, I found this record." But I mean, I kind of like how I was just talking about is like when you find it locally, it can be like you can annoy people. Like when you like, hey, I found this Kiss record today or something, and it's like the first press of the first Kiss record, and it might like if my buddy's a Kiss fan, it might totally piss him off. Or like there's a record store here in our area. And there's a guy he's like, I call him like a behind the counter worker.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like the type of record store worker who only works at the record store to like look at what's behind the counter first before anybody else. So I sort of like I've kind of jabbed at him a little bit. But the funny thing is about it, I was in there last summer and I found 2 copies of 145 that I was like, as soon as I found it, it's called One Way Cutie Pie. It's a funk 80s funk jam. It's been sampled in hip hop. The 12-inch is like a $50 12-inch. The 45 is a little bit not as rare, but anyway, I found 2 copies of this record in the 45 bin that's next to the bathroom where this guy goes, and the sticker on there, he's been working there for like 20 years or whatever, and the sticker on there said that that record had been in the store for 17 years. And it's sitting by the bathroom. So that means this guy walked by the bathroom every time for the last 17 years, could have picked this record out of here and taken it home or whatever, or DJ'd with it or whatever. And then I found it, And funny thing is, because I lived in Seattle there, Trevor. So I found the record. So no, I lived in Omaha, moved to Seattle, moved back to Omaha, and within that 17-year time frame, that record was still sitting there. And just thinking, how many times has this guy walked to the bathroom to just go use the bathroom? How many times has he walked by the record? Then I sent him a text message saying, hey, look what I found at Canesville with the 17-year sticker on it. he says to me, "I'll give you $25 for it." I'm like, "You got to be out of your mind, dude." It's just like you walk by this record so many times, and now
It's
you're
probably
willing to
like one
give
of those things, like, you know, you have a picture up on the wall, and after a while, after several years, you don't even notice it anymore.
yeah.
Yeah, type thing.
Yeah, no, I mean, and you know, that's the kind of thing we take for granted sometimes, you know, especially in this place, Canesville, which if you guys are ever out in like the Omaha area, you got to at least see Canesville. Or like, you know what? Actually, don't come out to Omaha to see Canesville. I'll put some video up on my channel sometime.
Okay.
But
Thank
this
you.
record store is insane. It's like it used to be this old office building, like in the 70s, and then it was bought out. The building was bought by this guy Tim, and at the time he was running like 2 record stores, and I think his idea was to put, you know, convert this office building into like just a big giant record store. So you have like a basement, a main level, and an upstairs, and it's just like records, wall to wall records, stacks and stacks of records, and it's just like you could seriously spend 8 hours a day. Like if you were like, I need this one record, I can't find it anywhere, but I bet it's in like some random bargain bin. I've spent 8 hours a day up there looking for stupid little bargain bin records too.
Okay.
You know, so it's like, you know, it is funny. It's like bargain bin records should be like $1, $2, $3, but there have been like days where I'll spend a whole 8 hours looking for one damn bargain bin record. You know? What do people do for 8 hours, 9 to 5? They go to a job and, you know, make a few $100. But
Right.
I've seriously wasted that time looking for like a cheapo bargain bin country records. Anyway, hey, I'm gonna get a beer. I'll be right back, guys. 1 second.
Right on. And I'm gonna jinx this, but they're actually behaving right now.
Uh-oh. They're lulling you into a sense of security.
Yeah. As long as, you know, no one goes out the, you know, front of the street. That guy, the big black one, he barks at air.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Well, at least protecting you.
Yeah, we'll go with that. The husky, you know, who are known for being like talkers, she's silent. She never utters a word. The golden retriever that's on the floor right now, she'll be 12 in September, and the only time she actually gets verbal is with this guy, because, you know, he'll be bothering her, and she gets all pissed off. And
Right.
back at him. It's hilarious.
Well, guys, I'm gonna puss out here. I got to get up fairly early. So
Yeah, it's
this is fun. Thanks, Trevor. Good to meet you, William.
Yeah, I'm still looking. There's so many no solution channels on YouTube.
Yeah, there are. I'll probably have more luck finding you, and then you'll see it that I subbed it. Then you'll see it. So
cool, perfect. I'll be looking at you for you then.
All right, man. Have a good night,
Scott.
Peace.
Take care, man. I'm staying on.
That's cool. Well, hey, I actually just grabbed this. So,
loser.
You know what I'm talking about?
Aside from Elysian, okay.
Yeah.
I don't drink Elysian because a lot of it is IPAs, and I several years ago I came to the conclusion that I'm like, you know what? I just don't like them.
Hey, they're not for everybody, but they're sure. At least when I was living there, do you see this stick? I'm trying to here.
Here, hold on. Let me get because I got the comments on too. So there we go.
So it says corporate beer still sucks.
And it's Elysian, who's owned by a corporate.
Well, okay.
Yeah.
So this corporate beer still sucks. This was a collaboration beer with Sub Pop and Elysian. And I think it was I want to say maybe it was before they sold to Anheuser-Busch because, yeah, I don't see any Anheuser-Busch thing on the label or the credits or anything. And right around the time Elysian sold to Anheuser-Busch was this beer was discontinued. Loser was discontinued. And then that's when Space Dust became a thing. So like you can get Space Dust at the gas station, you know, where I was just at. So here in Omaha, which is kind of nice. But it's like the funny thing is about that Loser is when I was in Seattle, like I would have coworkers and we all thought it was just super funny to just like be drinking a bottle of Loser. So it was just like it became like our beer.
When were you out here?
So that would have been, I was like basically 2014 till 2017, not very long, just about 4 years. And then so yeah, no, I think 2016 was when it was discontinued. And I remember when it was discontinued, I drove around the entire city looking for the last 6 packs of Loser. So I was a total loser for Loser. But I just thought, I mean, I thought it was funny. And me and my coworkers, it was like, you know, this is like holding on to this bottle. I just kind of keep it for decoration. And, you know, it's a good memory for the beer that I would drink with my coworkers. But rest in peace, Loser. So funny thing. So this was a collaboration beer with Sub Pop and Elysian. But the sticker, there used to be a sticker that you could put on your bumper car that you would say corporate rock still sucks. I think it didn't say Loser. It said corporate rock still sucks. And it was an SST sticker. So, you know, Black Flag, you know, Mr. Q band, or, you know, so it was like an SST sticker. You order one of their records. I think they would like, you know, slip the sticker in the mail. So it was like a popular sticker, like for the 80s and 90s. And I think is like sort of like a memory of that, you know, bumper sticker. They, you know, made that beer called Loser. So I like it because it's like, it kind of like if you don't know much of, if you didn't like know about the bumper sticker, it does sort of look like you're just sipping on a bottle of Loser. So
right. Well, and you know, there's especially in the microbrew, there's always those, you know, wacky names or you know, innuendo names and all kinds of.
Oh, geez, they're like, no, they're running out of names for beer. I mean, you can kind of tell. Or like I was bartending for I don't know, the last part of last year and start of this year. And we would get like the bar that I worked at was we didn't have domestic beer. We had domestics in cans, but we were a microbrewery where you know people, you know, local breweries, regional breweries, or like, you know, something that was, you know, a microbrew or something. So it was like a beer snob's heaven, basically.
Right.
But no, we would get new beers in, like, and they would just have the most bizarre names. Like, even one of them was called like $60 nachos was the name of the beer. So it was like, funny thing, like when I would wait tables, like I would bartend and then I would wait tables, like part of the time too, just, you know, just to make everybody happy, you know, so everyone could bartend, get their bartending shifts. But when I would wait tables, I'd say, hey guys, would you like to try our $60 nachos tonight? So. You know, I don't know, make a cheesy joke out of it. But yeah, I don't know, man. There's so much beer out there and so many new beer recipes that it's just like people are starting to run out of names. Or like now beer names are starting to sound like it's weed or something even. Like
right. Well, even myself, you know, a buddy of mine who used to live in my town here, he's a manager of a Les Schwab tire place.
Okay.
And he got transferred down to Portland. So, you know, I only get to see him about once a year now. But, you know, he and I would go to this tap house that's near, you know, not far from here. And, you know, we'd try out some special brews and all that stuff. But it got to the point where I'm like, I got tired of it. And I regressed to, you know, Rainier or Coors Light. You know,
No, it's. I'll tell you what. Because before I was a bartender, I was like, for real, give me something cheap. I don't really
Mhm.
care. I mean, beer's beer. It's gonna get me drunk anyway. But I will say though, and like sometimes it was even like we would get a beer that had a funny sounding name, and I would just have to try it. Like, I have
Oh
to
yeah,
know what this
absolutely.
tastes like. And it did become a thing. Like, it's like I can't really drink like PBR, Rainier. A lot of that stuff reminds me of college, and
Right.
Bush Light. Like, that's the other. Bush Light is like super popular right now. I mean, I can't drink that kind of stuff. I don't know.
Well, I just like I call them lawnmower beers.
Okay, that's a good name.
Well, just because if you're out mowing the lawn, you're not going to have like a double stout,
Right.
afterwards.
Yeah, or like, well, a stout wouldn't be a good I would never drink. I would only really drink a stout if it's cold, like fall weather.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
But
not
you know
gonna
what I'm
ever
saying?
like.
I just like a nice light, like I can,
Yeah,
crush this,
yeah,
in a couple gulps.
b-
But
but I'm never gonna be chilling by the pool drinking a stout. More than
no,
likely. I mean, you never
no,
know. But
exactly. So
no,
yeah,
I don't know. Lately, I've been digging like the fruity drinks, even like the
okay.
hard ciders. Like, I don't know. Summertime rolls around and I don't even care. It's just like give me something that's like easy to slam.
Ciders are good. I'll admit, I mean, I'm a bit older, but I was around. I was in my early 20s when the whole Zima thing came up in
You
the
you don't
90s.
you don't seem that old.
I'm 52.
Oh, you're 52, really?
Yeah.
I thought you were maybe closer to my age, which I mean, I'm not even super young either, but
So like when Zima came
no,
out,
I
I
don't.
was target demographic for it,
Yeah,
and I would go to this um, goth dust. If we're out dancing and stuff, um, you know, it was just easier to drink. Did I freeze up there?
for a second, yeah, it's all.
Okay,
I caught
I
on.
have
You're good.
bad. I was telling Scott about this. I'm. We got a local company that does our internet, and tomorrow I have Xfinity coming out, and
Nice.
I'm doing like the 1200. Was it the 1200 MB PS? It's just because my wife, she does video conferencing, and she freezes up all the time too, and she's just like,
Yeah,
I'm fucking sick of this. While I'm gone, I need you to take care of this. I'm like, okay, and I want to get it done before this weekend's over because I got the stream with Steve, um, and even he was busting my balls on that last one. So
yeah. No, I used to call into the show using my iPad, which it would be okay, but there was just this like sort of like offness about using it on the iPad. Then I just got this laptop back in like April, and that's when I started I was like, all right, I'm messing with all this like iMovie, which is like pretty much basic software,
that's
but
what
it's like
I
you can do
yeah,
a
that's what I
lot of
use.
stuff in there.
I'm real basic. I do the when I shoot like my videos, I use my
Yeah,
phone and I
yeah,
do the iMovie on my phone, and all I really do is the fade from black and fade to black,
yeah,
and then if I happen to throw in a photo in there, that's all I do on this thing. I
yeah.
don't do any real editing.
Well, you'd be surprised how much you can do on just your phone. You
Yeah.
can do a lot of crazy stuff with, because I mean, before I had my laptop, like it sometimes it's really annoying to fidget with your thumbs and make a video, but like
Mhm.
you can do a lot of stuff with iMovie on your phone or my iPad. I would be able to do a lot of stuff, but I will say, like, when you have the laptop, and there are a few more things you can do, and you can kind of do a lot more stuff more fast when you're on your laptop. But yeah, I don't know. When I first started making my vinyl videos about a year ago, that was all iPad, iPhone, everything, and it was just like super basic, low edits. And I kind of like prefer stuff that way because I feel like then I can focus more on like the content I'm making and not like, editing, like, put this little cool thing in here,
Right. Yeah.
or I don't know. Sometimes you can just like be given like a big like set of tools and not know what to do with it.
Right. Yeah. I mean, like my last video I did, and I didn't even do it here. I did it in a hotel room in Nashville. And I was describing, going to the Johnny Cash Museum and just, I took pictures while I was there. I'm like, well, I'll just kind of cut to these pictures as I'm talking about them.
Yeah.
And stuff. Yeah, my daughter and I, we were just there for one day, and I'm like, God, I want to go back and spend a few days in Nashville.
Yeah.
It's a lot different from the last time. Last time I was there for fun was probably 30 years ago.
30?
30, yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I was visiting. My dad moved down to Tennessee. My dad worked for GM for years, and in the 80s, he got in with Saturn, the car Saturn.
Yeah.
Like at ground level. He got hired in with Saturn, I want to say in 1985 or 86. The first car didn't roll off the line until 91. So the plant got built down in Tennessee, probably about 45 minutes south of Nashville. And there was a brief time I lived with them down there, but I'd hit up to Nashville a couple times, and there was some rocking stuff. But now it's a lot different. I mean, it's I've seen it described as kind of like Vegas meets New Orleans type stuff.
Did you go by the Ernest Tubb record shop?
It's the building's still there, the sign is still there, the store is long gone.
Okay, yeah, because I know there was all that stuff was kind of up in the air, like pretty seriously, like a year ago, maybe, or maybe it was a little bit longer. But yeah, I don't know, man. I mean, that's a part of Nashville that, like, I mean, it's just such a huge part of its history, and I mean, it is kind of sad to see stuff like that, fade away. But
my daughter and I, we walked down Broadway, which is where the Ernest Tubb store is at, and there's scaffolding around it. I almost missed the sign seeing it. Because the scaffolding was in the way. I did go in there once in 1987 when my whole family went down there. I was 16 years old. I got, I had hair. I had hair down to my chest, and wearing the leather jacket, the metal T-shirt. I'm with my family. I'm with my mom, my dad, my sister, and we're going in and out of these shops down Broadway, and we were noticing that there was the same two pair of cops at every store that we went into.
That's strange.
It was because of me. Because you didn't have metal dudes hanging out in Nashville. They were thinking I was going to steal something or do something.
That's funny.
I know, but so Nashville now is so different for the better, I think.
Yeah. No, They probably got, metalheads are the least of their concerns at this point.
No, because, it's truly become Music City.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's no longer just country.
Yeah.
It's everything now.
Yeah. That's crazy. So you were there in 1987, you said?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that would have been like just a few years after he passed away. So I would imagine that around that time, that shop was pretty, flourishing at that time.
Probably, I really wish I could remember what was in there. I want to say it was exclusively country because I
I
don't
think,
think I
yeah,
recall seeing anything that I was remotely interested
right.
in.
I think they kind of specialize in being like a country music specialist store. The cool thing about it, I mean, I'm a country music nerd, and
Right.
partially because of my dad, and then also partially because like when I get bored looking for records, I know I can go to the country section and pull out something that at least, I can take this home kind of thing. So that's the cool thing about being around a bunch of country records is like I know what to pick up, but I do still see occasionally. I don't have one like within arm's reach, but a record that has a sticker that says that the record came from Ernest Tubbs Record Shop. So I like
Nice.
finding those records. Even and typically anymore when I find the record, it's a country record I don't want, but I almost
Mhm.
like I'm so tempted to just peel the sticker off and I don't know.
Now that I'm older, I would have way more appreciation of a solid country record store.
Yeah,
Um,
I'll tell you. I would. I mean, I think it's part of just getting old. What
yeah.
you just said, and like I mean, I just turned 40, and so my father and my dad actually got me into records, and then we weren't getting along. So part of it, like country music and country records, have just always been. It's just like the thing that's always been there,
Okay.
and it's like it's like the thing that's always been there. I don't typically be like, oh, let me look at the country section
Mhm.
because it's like it's just always been there, and it's like I didn't really start digging it out until like recent years, and I'm even like, excuse me, I'm
It's in my
burping over the
PAs, man.
beer. Yeah, I know. You know what I'm talking about. But I'm like, I'm fighting with my dad a little bit, and I think that's kind of what got me back into the country records was, maybe I just need to like identify with him a little bit more, and I don't know that it didn't help, like it didn't help like mend or mend things or like bridge the gap or whatever anything like that, but one day there might be a day where like I'll be sitting there chatting it up with my dad about country records, and he's gonna have to come to terms with the fact that not even people his age can talk about country records like me. But it's just the funny thing, like especially like because I'm in Omaha, and my old
Right.
man's in Lincoln, and like
He's where?
just what's that?
Well, I'm sorry. You said your old man what?
My old man's in Lincoln, so we're like 45 minutes
Oh,
away.
okay.
But the funny thing is like in Omaha, it's like, and I'm a 40-year-old guy. There are people my dad's age who can't even touch my knowledge on country records.
Hmm.
It's so funny. It's just like so. It's just like I am kind of like waiting for that day to like, hey, maybe my dad and I we can get along. Maybe we can sit in a room and talk about and listen to records all over again. And this time around, though, it'll just be like so like it'll just be like I have a feeling like if that were to ever happen, my dad would actually feel like he's talking to his buddy before he's talking to his son. So, you know,
Right. I get that. I mean, my dad got into not deep country, like I want to say the like pop country, like the
yeah.
your top tier country. This is probably in the late '70s. Like when who's that?
I'm just showing this.
Oh,
Just
Ernest Tubb.
we were
Okay.
just talking about Ernest Tubb Record Shop, and I actually did have this record at arm's length. But no,
Oh, right on.
I wasn't trying to interrupt you. Keep going.
Okay. We're talking about like, Kenny Rogers, the gambler, when that
Yeah,
was like hitting the scene. And I
me too.
have memories of us going on family trips and that 8-track would be, on repeat and stuff. And then my dad got into Alabama in the
Okay.
early 80s and stuff. And, when he's into Alabama, I'm full on, Iron Maiden, Judas Priest, stuff like that. And I'm like, I don't
Yeah.
want anything to do with that stuff.
Yeah.
Now I find myself, because I'm, with my job, I'm driving around all day in a truck. I have Apple Music.
Yeah.
And so, I have almost everything at my fingertips. And there are some times where I will, like, for shits and giggles, I will throw on, like, the essentials of Alabama.
You got to do it, man.
And because it just brings back those memories.
Yeah.
And also, well, I think you were off doing your beer run, and I was talking to Scott.
Yeah.
When my dad was in high school in the mid to late 60s, he graduated in 67. He was in a rock band, covers, but in a rock band nonetheless.
Yeah.
And he was opening up for this, and I was joking. He was opening up for this guy named Bob Seger. Might have heard of him later.
Yeah, might have heard of him. Yeah.
But this is when he had his band, The Last Herd. Is like Bob Seger and The Last Herd. And there's a couple times that even Bob borrowed my dad's PA for a couple gigs and stuff. And so we have those ties. And later on, I finally got into the MC5 and the Stooges, and he's just like, yeah, I saw the MC5 once at the Grandee, type thing. And,
I mean,
I'm jealous. Yeah, I mean, people will say that, but there's not that many that can actually say that and mean it. So, our relationship is our big tie is the music thing. Before I got into the glamorous life of truck driving, I was in working staging. A lot of corporate stuff.
Okay.
And we had a contract with the Michigan State Fair. And usually it was an outdoor thing, but one year they had it inside the Coliseum. And I had seen concerts in this place. This building was nothing but steel and concrete. Worst acoustics ever.
Yeah.
Unless the place was packed. So, if there's people in there, it absorbs. Like and usually all the concerts are free, except for one time it was ZZ Top was playing. They were charging $20. And,
which is still a hell of a steal
nowadays, but when people are used to a free concert, the place is damn near empty. I'm at the front of house where, where the mixer's at, which is supposed to be the best place to hear a show. I had earplugs in and I had my ears covered. I still couldn't tell what song they were playing. It was that bad. But the last night of the state fair, the last show was Alice Cooper, which is one of my all-time favorites. And my dad had just moved back from Tennessee, and I got him on the guest list, and he hung out with me at the front of house area just to see what I do. And actually, another cool thing about that show was a friend of mine, his band was opening. So I knew his music, and I'm like, well, I'll run your lights for you. So, since I knew the music and I could do all the cues just right and stuff. And it was just, that was a nice, bonding moment with my dad. It's just like, here I am, I'm not performing, but I'm kind of within it at the same time. So
that's really cool. No, that's really cool that, that you have those experiences because, the little that you know about me, I've kind of talked about my dad, and my dad does not like having like those, I've tried to like bond with him on stuff or like certain records or certain artists. So like, for example, Ernest Tubb, like I'll kind of like you probably heard me more than a few times say Ernest Tubb, but like my dad
Probably
is
the most
actually
I've heard in the last 30 years. I've heard Ernest Tubb in this conversation.
yeah, you probably heard me say it more times than anybody that you know combined. But
Right.
but anyway, my dad's a big Ernest Tubb fan, and that was kind of the thing when I was getting back into country records, or when I was really getting into country. I mean, I just part of it was like it was two things. So I was watching old Grand Ole Opry episodes last summer, like all last summer, and my
Okay.
favorite two people on the Grand Ole Opry were Marty Robbins and Ernest Tubb, and I
Okay.
started obsessively buying their records. Matter of fact, within arm's reach, Gunfighter
Right.
Ballads and Trail Songs, which like once it hits 100 degrees here in Omaha, this
Okay.
record is on the turntable, and like I basically it's glued to the turntable. so
So why? Now I'm curious. Why after 100 degrees?
it's
Yeah.
like good question. It's hot weather music to me. I don't know. There's just
Okay.
something about like I you probably don't. You're in Puyallup, Washington, right?
Yes.
So you probably don't get too many 100-degree days out there.
It happens occasionally.
Okay. Well, let's say it hits 92 and
Okay.
it's not quite to 100. Put that record on, put the windows open, and I don't know, maybe you can relate. Something about it is like I feel like the song Big Iron like is like this like gunfighter standoff song, and I just like
Okay.
envision this song being in like the desert where it really truly is 115 degrees or whatever. And I put that record on when it's like hot outside, and like it just for some reason it's just like it just resonates so well. And the funny thing, so I mean 100 degrees, I'll open up all my windows, I'll say fuck the air conditioner because my neighbors got to listen to this too. So
Okay.
so
Well,
I'm
okay.
a little bit like I'm a little bit
I
weird like that. There
I
you
brought
go.
it up on my Apple, so I know
Okay.
tomorrow, because it's supposed to be like 82 tomorrow. So I will.
Pretty
I know
hot.
it's not as. And I know it's not as hot.
It's Washington hot.
I'll come in from mowing the lawn as I'm
There you
having
go.
my cheap lawnmower beer. I will throw this on.
Yeah, I will tell you though, I'm going to mention something here funny in a minute, but I mean, there are those albums though that really resonate with like a certain time of the year, and that Marty Robbins Gunfighter Ballads is like a good summer record to me. I mean, there are good
Okay.
fall records to me, good winter records to me, records that I play in the springtime, and then like certain genres of music I will only listen to like in certain parts of the year. So,
Hmm.
I mean, I like Gunfighter Ballads. I don't play too much around Christmas time, for example, but like,
Okay.
and it's funny. It's like we are just getting to that point here in Nebraska because we have scorching hot summers.
Right.
We are just getting to that point where it's like I can like I haven't played this record yet this summer, not even one time. But it's like as the weather's starting to get hotter, I'm like, all right, I can start to hear
happening.
that record a little more now. So
Mhm.
I mean, I get a little weird, like get a little,
No,
nerdy.
I get it. Because there's sometimes when it's a hot day, and I get out of work, and yeah, it's nice to have the air conditioning on in the car, but it's also nice just to have the windows down and you just crank.
Yeah.
Like for me, I mean, and I know this is really stereotypical, especially from a rock standpoint. You throw on something from like the three or four Van Halen records or something.
Yeah, there you go.
With the windows down. To me, that feels like summertime kind of
Panama.
stuff.
There's like the perfect
Right.
summer song right there.
Right. Because I was going to bring it up when Scott was there. I wish I would have brought it up when you brought up the whole Interpol thing.
Yeah.
Earlier, where there's like that show that you saw.
It was like 10 people, and then they got.
So
huge.
was that like the smallest crowd for a band that later on became?
We were trying to, because we had that. And the funny thing you asked that, because we had that conversation for years and years after.
Mm-hmm.
Like, was there ever a band that came through their album just came out. Maybe it got a good review. Maybe that's why we're even at the show. But then the album like blew up, and now they can't even play this little hall anymore. So it was Interpol was the first one, and then I didn't go to this one. This was Arcade Fire,
Okay.
kind of a mid 2000s indie rock band. They came, played a show at this place called Sokol Underground, which it's still active but just doesn't have the name anymore. But played in front of 10 people, and then they got a Pitchfork review that was like a 10.0 or perfect review on Pitchfork. And then they blew up, and then they're like, well, we can't play at this little venue anymore. So, I mean, when you're working at the record store, that stuff does sort of like creep up on your radar a little bit, but I don't think that really happens anymore.
Probably my kind of version of Interpol band I saw, I'll name them in a second. They played this place just north of Detroit. The place held 1,500 people. And I've seen lots of shows that were sold out there. I saw Skid Row there, sold out. It's packed, 1,500. The following year, the same year, I saw Pantera at this place.
Wow.
That held 1,500 people.
That's incredible.
Except for there was only 75 people there.
Wait, so when was it?
This is Cowboys from Hell, when Cowboys from Hell first came out in 1990. Okay. So
Pantera was like,
they played this huge place with 75 people there, which you basically play into 10 people. It seems like
that's crazy. But sometimes, like, I'll bet you anything, that's probably like one of the greatest shows you've ever been at.
That was cool. I saw Buck Cherry, their first Detroit stop, or the first time they ever played Detroit when the first album came out. They were opening at a club that held like 350. Or opening Finger 11. No one remembers them. Ended up, this is when I was still working at the record store. We ended up going next door to the restaurant, just hanging out and getting, food and drink, with the guys. So they were really cool guys.
No, I've had, no, I guess, I don't know. I didn't have anything like, I didn't have any like super cool experiences with like huge bands, but like when I was like working at the record store, like we would have like enough. I don't know. I kind of feel like I've had too many parties with like the traveling band that came through town, and like we all end up at somebody's party house and we're just like fucking, it's just like an all-nighter. So
So I had to, real quick, probably the biggest one where I seen in a club, who you'll never see in a club again. Actually, it was my first time coming here to Seattle. So this was 2009. Me and my wife saw Adele.
Oh, wow.
At Numos.
No shit.
Yeah.
Wow. At Numos. Holy crap. That is tiny as hell for Adele.
Well, but she was an up and coming artist. I mean, it was sold out. We didn't.
What album would that have been?
19.
Okay, was that her first? That was her first album then.
That was her first album.
All of her albums are after her, like her age, pretty much.
Yeah. So, that was January of 2009, and then
That's
2 months
crazy.
later, and then 2 months later, we saw her in Detroit at St. Andrews Hall, and that place holds like 800 people. So
I mean, that's still really small.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
We
didn't know that she was going to be the Adele that we all know. And well, I don't know that the last two records I haven't been a fan of at all. But when she first came out, I'll tell you how we discovered her. I always would DVR Saturday Night Live.
Okay.
And watch it Sunday, because me and my wife were dating at the time, so it was Saturday night. We're out, so I would DVR it, and I would make breakfast the next morning. And we'd watch it, and normally I would just fast forward through the musical artist, the musical guest, and so we let it play, and I'm like, oh my god, this girl can sing and good.
Yeah.
And we immediately went out and bought the CD later that day, and man, we both fell in love with it. So
yeah. The funny thing about her style of singing, it really reminds me of like like a black soul singer.
right.
Like maybe like a Tina Turner or an Aretha Franklin in a way. So I mean it's really unique when you get that white singer who
And young.
yeah, and kind of has that, I mean very distinctive voice.
Mm-hmm.
I've noticed, I mean, like you saw her last record that came out.
it was a joke in the VC for a long time.
Oh, I mean it's like probably going to be a joke for the rest of our lifetimes.
Well, it tied up pressing plants.
Yeah. Well,
And because they press, because well, yeah, but Taylor Swift albums sell.
Point taken.
We're gonna see. I mean, I don't know. I mean, you probably know better than I do. You know, the bargain bin. I remember the nice price stickers, or Best Buy type sticker. Back in the day, and it'd be those, $5 records. That would be one of them, because they press so many of them, and they're not. You still see them out there.
Yeah.
And that's probably from the initial pressing.
Yeah. No, they will never need to repress that record ever again.
No.
I really hope they don't too.
But they pressed 1 million of them, I think.
No, it was 500,000. Sony ordered 500,000 copies of that.
Okay, but
and just the sad thing about it is, okay.
So yeah, even that is still nowadays.
Yeah, only because I'm a record flipper. Like
Right.
I was able to capitalize on that whole moment, because that's when I was finding records that were selling for $100 that Walmart might carry it, but like a record that shouldn't be selling for $100, but it only is selling for that much because the pressing plants are only pressing Adele records or Taylor Swift records, or
Right.
I think Olivia Rodrigo was the other big one at that time too. So like they were like really focusing on like all these, these 3 or 4 artists to get their records out for 500,000 people. But it's like what I think is just so funny about the music industry, and like the music industry who's given us all of our records or all of our CDs for our entire lifetime, like they still don't get it.
Yeah.
It's like they still think like we need to press 500,000 Adele records because every single mother in the world is going to go out and buy a turntable now.
Right. And, well, especially since a majority of the people, if they listen to a whole album.
Yeah. I think Adele is an artist that she's like a CD artist. Like her fans are going to buy her music on CD. They're going to buy it because they want to listen to it in the car. Maybe this is a record. Maybe it is a record that you would want to put on your turntable. But I don't need to have 500,000 copies of it. And it's like the sad thing of it is like you talk about the bargain bin. It's like they keep lowering this record. And funny thing is, like, I don't think it's really at Target anymore. Target was one of the places where you could go and get, like, you'd see 30 or 40 copies just sitting there, nobody buying.
Yeah.
They marked it down to $9.99 a few months ago, and then they blew out of them. So it's like, yeah, you are going to have to find, like, your bargain bin price point. But it's like, it's like when you have that many copies, it's like the people who really wanted it already bought it. The people who kind of wanted it have bought it when it's gone on sale. Now you just have a bunch that are left over. So the one truly sad thing about that whole like scenario instance, or I guess was like late 2021 or something, is they should have been pressing the indie bands. They should have been pressing the smaller label stuff, the niche market bands, the Kiss, the Led Zeppelin, the surefire hits. But they thought that for some reason, I can't even begin to comprehend like how much like labor was wasted making records that have just gone to sit there in Barnes and Noble locations, and then when people thumb through records, those records get wear on them. It's like they almost like I mean it's just like the record industry has been selling us product for how long, and they still don't know what to sell us sometimes.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, even we were saying earlier, like CDs are like the steal now.
Yeah.
And when I was working at the record store at the time, this was in the 90s, when CDs, that was the medium. And our store, we were more expensive than say your Best Buys, your Targets, your Walmarts. But I think our average price was somewhere like $16.99, $17.99. And it's even cheaper now, 20 plus years later, which is strange.
No, it's funny, how the market has changed, and it's like, and it's funny, like when I go to, I mentioned paying like 59 cents for a CD at the Goodwill, and it's just like you go to the Goodwill and just see mountains of CDs, and sometimes I'll be like looking at these CDs and like, I wonder what the original price of this CD was, like when the person
it's probably $15 average.
Yeah. It's like it just like blows my mind, like people were willing to spend that much on certain things, but I mean it's just like that's what was popular, that was what was technically if it weren't for MP3s, people would still be
30
buying
years ago
CDs.
when people got 30 years ago when everyone was getting rid of their vinyl for CDs.
Yeah.
And you can go to the used record store or a flea market and buy all that stuff for
next to nothing.
$3. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I was saying earlier, I wish I had the fourth site to, grab a lot more of that.
That thought has crossed my mind too many times.
Mm-hmm.
What would I do if I could turn back the hands of time? What would I go? I remember there was even 2003. There was a little record store up in Benson that's no longer around, but I remember seeing like a whole banana box of Steely Dan records, and then pandemic, people are paying $30-$40. It's like what would I would just love to have that entire banana box. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's so
funny. When did you start the business of your Discogs online?
Well, I started collecting like 2003, and then probably like 2013 was when I started doing Discogs. So like I was like 10 years into it for sure, but then when I worked at Homer's, the record store, I was kind of like the main vinyl guy there. So and then like the influence from my dad, and when I'm hanging out with him and listening to records, that's kind of like the inspiration. So I think just like kind of like it just kind of went from small things like just adding together just to becoming my main hobby, I guess.
So a lot of people have said, and I believe it, that the pandemic was probably the best thing for vinyl sales. Because
I would probably agree.
People are at home, not doing anything. It's a new, for them, probably a new hobby, or rekindling an old hobby.
Well, it's not even that. It's like baseball cards were like even selling on eBay. So I think the whole site, it's like the psychology of like sitting at home with nothing to do. You're either going to go through your stuff and say like, I need to get rid of this stuff, or you're going to go through your stuff and be like, hey, I don't have this stuff to go with it. So like, for
Right.
example, like there's a like baseball cards, people like which were practically worthless. People are paying for baseball cards now, and this is during the pandemic. So I think there were just like certain things like, you know, when people are at home doing nothing and they can't go out and shop for the normal things that they buy, they just like, what would they buy if they type, you know, what would their fingers tell them to buy if they couldn't go out to a store, kind of basically.
Right.
So, excuse me, I had a little burp there. But yeah, I mean, I think part of it was like the pandemic, you know, people going through their records, they were probably like, well, shit, Elvis Costello has 30 records and I'm missing 3 copies. So let me order these on the internet. So it's like when you're at home sitting there with nothing to do, you kind of realize like the stuff you don't have. So I think people were more inclined to just order something online, but then like, or you know, I don't know. And I'm still trying to figure out the whole psychology of you know, people and their buying habits. But like when the government is giving you stipend checks and just free money, it's
Right.
like,
Well, yeah. See, I was
I was
working
buying
the whole
shit.
time. I was working the whole time because we deliver
Yeah.
oxygen to hospitals.
Yeah.
Kind of needed.
I was working too.
And my wife, she worked in the grocery industry at the time. So we were essential workers. We actually had to ship my kid to Michigan to my in-laws because there was no daycare. So,
Wow.
and at the time when it first happened, our governor said, "Oh, it's just going to be the schools are just shutting down for 6 weeks." So we shipped her out and thinking, she'll be back in a month and a half. Well, then they said indefinitely. It turned out 3 months that she was gone. So in those 3 months, it's just me and my wife here, and there wasn't a lot to do. I mean, I don't know where I was going with this thing, but even I bought quite a bit in that time.
Yeah.
Because why not? Because we can't go to the movies.
Yeah.
I could go to a restaurant and get takeout. Which, by the way, when people were getting takeout, I hope they were giving them full tips there because.
Yeah, see that, but that was just a funny thing about the pandemic is people were overpaying for stuff. Like, I mean, that's kind of when like it all kind of like crept up on me like out of nowhere. Like I wasn't expecting it. It was just like I think I just kind of like woke up one morning and like I just had a shitload of orders on Discogs, and then I just started noticing I'm like, wow, dude, I'm selling more now than I ever have before, and then I was like, maybe I need to start buying stuff too. Cause it's like, I remember I would like wake up in the morning and just be like, I just got all these orders and all this money now. And it's just, I started treating myself like, I don't know.
Right. And you were saying about the buying habits. Now I'm notoriously thrifty.
Me too.
And like, in the last several years, probably like last 10 years, you get the big box sets of a album, not a band, but an album.
Yeah, just an album. I know what you're talking about.
Is cool into itself, but my thing is just like, I'm a big Metallica fan. Would I love to have all those Metallica box sets? Sure. Or the Black Sabbath ones. Yeah. But the thing is, though, how often am I going to delve into that extra stuff?
Right. Well, I'll tell you, they make that stuff for like the completist, and there's so many collectors out there who are like the completist collector, and it's like it's even to a point where it's like not only do they want to have like every song that band recorded, they also want to have every label that every release that the label put out. So they know how to sell people a product. Now, like somebody like me, like I don't need to have like, okay, so a band for me, a good example, like the Replacements were a good band that I like. I like having every Replacements record. Then they started putting out all these demos and be like, oh, well, I would love to have that too. But then when it started going overboard, I started to ask myself, do I really like need to own this? Would I really sit there? I mean, I guess, you know, it sort of like reevaluates, like, you know, I don't know.
I mean,
They're always going to be a band that I love, but like,
well, and luckily the Replacements. I mean, how big is their catalog?
I mean, it's average-ish. They have like maybe 8 to 10 albums, and then studio. The funny thing is about like I bring them up as an example, and they're sort of like, it's kind of unfair because like there's a story about how they threw all their masters in the river, and like they destroyed like all of their masters because they didn't want anybody to hear it. Then like so many years later passed, and that now all these masters are like coming to surface, and now like you have all these sessions from all these albums. So it went from like throwing them in the river to now like they're here, they're all available
in the vault.
Or like, I mean, I don't know. And like Elvis Costello's and other artists who just like, when does it end? When does like your 14 studio outtakes to like, you know, I don't want to go to Chelsea, like when does this end? And it's just like, I can't keep like, you know.
The only thing, like earlier this year was the first time I bought a new album of something I already have, which was Iron Maiden, The Number of the Beast.
Yeah.
That 50th anniversary one.
Okay.
Because they replaced one of the songs with a B-side, and there's a whole live concert on there. And it's a famous concert from the Hammersmith Odeon in London. And I'm like, okay, I'll listen to that. So, you know, and plus it also helped I had a gift card. So so that's the only album I have with a second copy.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you what.
I normally don't do.
There's typically speaking, and this goes for the most part with any reissue, a label or a band reissues something, you should have a reason to buy it. But there does become a point where like something can get reissued so many times, like an Elvis Costello record, to where it's
Dark Side of the Moon.
Or Pink Floyd Dark Side of the Moon, or like Jimi Hendrix. It's like, how many best of Jimi Hendrix do I need to own? But it's just like, you know, the thing is like, it's like what when the labels are making this stuff and they're thinking of marketing, they know that when they release this stuff, there's going to be those people who will go out and buy it no matter what. Which is like why, for example, like when Eminem did that Curtain Call 2, like end of last year, they charged $60 for it. They knew people were going to go and buy it for $60 the week it came out. So it's like, that's the thing, is like a lot of these new releases, it's like they end up going into the like this like archive of like records you can eventually buy, but it's like all they really care about is the week it comes out, the hype about it, and you know, putting it out before Christmas time. So, you know, what was the one I just said? I already forget, but Eminem, you know, I'm sorry. So Eminem would be a good example. They're going to put this record out right before Black Friday. People are already going out, you know, Christmas shopping. You know, mom named her kid Stan, so she's gonna, you know, she knows she's got to buy. She knows you got to buy the Eminem greatest hits for her kid. So it's like, you know, it's like, I'm just saying that as a funny joke, for example, but like, you know, it's like, it's marketing. The record industry, like Curtain Call 2, I can promise you the record industry does not care about that release anymore because they put it out and it was right before Christmas time. It's like the hype for that release has come and gone. Now they could care less about how many that sell. It's like the record industry, and this is especially true with Record Store Day. You know what's funny is we're on this live stream right now.
Mhm.
You could schedule, plan, and do a complete topic, 2.5 hours long, live stream of just overpriced gimmick marketing bullshit that the record
Right.
industry does.
Hmm.
And it's just like we could talk about this for just hours on end. And it's like,
Oh, absolutely.
Record Store Day, and don't get me wrong, I get hyped up for Record Store Day. I love Record Store Day, or like I love having an excuse, even if like they release 100 titles and there's only one or two that I really want. Sometimes it is good to go and like have that experience
Right.
because like you don't have that experience anymore like you had like in the 90s where it's like everyone's
No.
going to get the CD.
Well, and also, you in the 90s, you would go in on Tuesdays when a new release day, and you could afford to buy 3, 5 albums, whatever.
Yeah,
You can't do that now. I mean,
not
well,
really. It's a lot harder.
no, but with Record Store Day, like I brought up that 2021 where they had the drops, and that one June, like I brought up Fear and the Cro-Mags, but I think I also got the DGs, Foo Fighters one
You got a
that
copy of that, really?
oh yeah,
That's like a
and
$300 record.
yeah,
Okay.
actually, well, that's why my wife actually came out, and I brought an extra chair. My wife came out later because a friend of mine in Arizona wanted a copy, and I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm buying a copy. I can't buy two,
Yeah.
type thing. So, what else did I get that day? St. Vincent 7-inch that had Sad But True and Piggy the 9-Inch Nails cover. It was like the biggest. That was my biggest Record Store Day because I had a ton of stuff, and I might get 1 to 3 things, and I had I think I dropped a couple $100 that day,
Yeah.
which is, like I said, I'm thrifty, so dropping that much money on just buying records, which is kind of ties in with the thing I wanted to bring up. My favorite band in the world, Black Sabbath, especially this lineup, the recent release of Live Evil
Yeah.
box set. I saw that they're going to re-release it. I'm like, cool, I want it. I don't have it on vinyl. And then it's like this box set of like, well, there's double disc remastered of it, and then a double disc of a remix of it. I'm like, I'm okay. What am I supposed to do? A B this thing and then not listen to the one I don't care for? So I'm stuck with this other copy. I mean, the box itself is impressive because it's got all kinds of trinkets and all kinds of shit in there, but
Yeah.
it seems like it's a waste. You're buying 2 of the same exact album.
Yeah.
Just one's remastered, one's remixed.
I'll tell you what, man, you got to be careful. I mean, it's record industry marketing, and I mean that's basically what it is. It's like they're looking for an excuse to sell the record again. They're trying to give you an excuse to go out and buy it again. One quick second.
Mm-hmm.
So this is, I don't know if did you ever listen to this?
I love that album.
So this is that 22. This is just the box from Target. So
with the shirt.
yeah, the T-shirt. Let's check out the
Yeah.
T-shirt. Where's the T-shirt at? Hey, you want a T-shirt, Trevor? I'll send you this T-shirt.
Sure.
It's a large.
Okay.
Yeah,
I
no, this
love that
T-shirt.
album.
Yeah, no, this T-shirt that came with this revolver, and I kind of had it on my live stream. Like, hey, I was kind of gonna give it away to someone else in the live stream, but yeah, connect with me after the stream, and I can send it to you. But,
Okay, well, in on my channel, my email is in the description.
Cool. I'll shoot you an email then. But the funny thing about this is like I listen to this, and ironically enough, I even bought like I think it maybe was a 70s repress of it. Within the last year, I probably acquired like 4 1960s copies of this record.
Okay.
When I listen to this record, I want to listen to the 1960s press. This isn't bad. It's okay. It's fine.
Mhm. Right.
The funny thing about me buying this at Target was, what else can I buy at Target? Taylor Swift records.
Mhm.
So if I were sitting there and I were listening to Taylor Swift Lover, and then I wanted to be like, okay, now I want to listen to Revolver, this would sound good next to listening to Taylor Swift.
Okay.
But
if you're gonna directly go for that, you're gonna go for your '60s copy.
right, but how many? Yeah, exactly. It's like, how many like Beatles fans also like Taylor Swift? How many Beatles fans also shop at Target? So it's like, I mean, this is okay. And I have a buddy who bought like the 4 LP box set of this. And I'm not gonna, throw him shade for doing that, because if he loves this record, and like they threw a lot of really cool stuff with that 4 LP box set. But it's just like,
Right.
when I put this on, I listen to the first side in full, and I'm like, yeah, I know, I can tell this is remastered. This sounds very, very, very. I mean, okay, it's been remastered, but it just sounds too. It sounds too new. I don't. I mean, I guess I
Sure.
don't know what other word to attach to it. Like, I don't need
Okay.
this. I have my '60s press. I have my
Right.
analog presses. I don't need a digital press of this record. I mean,
Mhm.
it was on clearance at Target, so I'm
Okay.
fine. But it's like, why
Well,
does the
see,
record industry do this shit? It's just like, it's
well,
almost over the top with all these gimmicks.
see, like myself, see, I don't own a physical copy of that,
Okay,
so it's an easy
but maybe
thing for me to
it's
get.
because you don't
And
need. Do you acknowledge that you don't need this? Is that
I
why?
don't need it. And honestly, most of my records I probably don't need, if you really
Fair
think
enough.
about it, because I got
Fair enough.
Apple Music on this thing. So if I really wanted to listen to something
But I don't
instantly,
need Apple Music. But anyway, that's a different conversation.
but I like I, getting back into record buying, which is uh, I think is for the nostalgia of the ritual of the ritual of pulling out the record, pulling the disc out, placing it on. I've been better on the habit of giving a good brush before I put the needle on. Just all that,
Right.
and
Yeah.
then you feel more connected with it, because if you buy something, you feel like you should have you need to spend some time with it. On the phone, it's so disposable.
Yeah.
um but the thing also I like about it compared to back in the day, you know it, you could sample things way better than a blind buy,
Yeah. No,
especially
that's
if you're
very
paying
true.
$35 for an album.
No, you're very, very true. I mean, especially when they're charging as much as they are, it's like, at least
Hmm.
we got our iPhone so we can sample through it. But I
Right.
mean, so only last point I'm going to make on this, though, I can't even, I got to get used to holding these properly. So,
Okay.
I mean, did this need to happen for new people in order for them to listen to it? Like, was this going to need to be like a thing? Like, did they need to do these reissues, this box set, this remastering in order to get the Taylor Swift fan to listen to? Because the
um
Taylor Swift fan isn't going to go find a '60s press of this. Is this why this happened?
Probably, yeah. And or not so much the Taylor Swift fan, but the parent of the Taylor Swift fan.
Okay, there's another point. Is like, maybe
Because
the parents want them to listen to it.
I mean, I'm not a Taylor Swift person. I mean, I give her all the respect in the world for doing what she does. But if I go into Target, yeah, I'm gonna look for things like Revolver. Um, I mean, a few months ago I bought Purple Rain at Target
Yeah.
because um, and I know that a lot of Target and your Walmarts are going to have your generic big huge seller type
Right.
thing. It's rare. I mean, well, shit. I mean, the other day, yesterday, as a matter of fact, I bought that new Ghost EP with all the
Oh, okay.
covers on it.
Yeah.
And it's cool. It's on this nice gold. I kind of wish I went with Amazon and got the black because that gold sounds like shit. Um, but you know, it's I think with Target and your big box stores like that, your department stores, they're gonna want your general big hit stuff.
Right.
It's easy. It's easy.
Right. So yeah, no, like they're gonna focus more on like that surface catalog as
Right.
opposed to like deeper catalog. Like when you go into a record store, you get the deeper catalog. So
Right.
you know, and it is funny. I actually have popped into like a Target or Walmart and found like the like deeper catalog, like what's this doing here kind of thing. So they, you know, some do slip through the cracks, you know, a
Mm-hmm.
little bit, but
I think Walmart's good for that. I mean, even though their reissue stuff, exclusive stuff, you know, they put out the Van Halen records, they put out
yeah.
the Led Zeppelin stuff, the
Yeah.
what's
Well, and I
the
think
other
those
one?
are all black
Queen.
vinyl issues, and they probably just threw a little trinket in there to make it, you know, give
Yeah,
it a
and
little Walmart touch or something.
and Queen, they put out most of their albums.
Yeah.
They did everything.
Well, and I think that's cool because it is getting harder to find that stuff.
Right.
Like Queen records and Led Zeppelin records aren't as easy. Like I used to find those a lot easier 15, 20 years ago. And now those are
Right.
records are even impossible or, you know,
Well,
not
I know,
impossible, but
and I know like Led Zeppelin too. Everyone's after the Robert Ludwig
did I
ones.
tell you about the I found a copy of that in Omaha for $10
Oh shit! No.
just because the guy didn't know what the he didn't know about the RL stuff. So
Right.
no, it's from a guy, and funny thing is his record store doesn't get a lot of traffic anyway, and he's kind
Right.
of like just one of those guys. He's had a shop open for 30 years. Just sits behind the counter, kind of pets his dog, and I was at a point like I was like the only customer shopping there for like you know once a week I dropped like 250 bucks, and the funny thing like I got to a point where like I know I'm the only guy giving him like this much money per week, so
Mhm.
yeah, one day, I mean, it was just already had given him a bunch of money, and you know, I'm about ready to check out, and I see this Led Zeppelin record sitting over there. And the funny thing is, like, I had been shopping in that store for a couple hours, and maybe a few customers even passed through the store too during that time. And it was just as I'm ready to leave, I'm like, let me just look at this Led Zeppelin record, make sure it's not a Robert Ludwig. And he had a $10 sticker on it. I'm thinking, well, there's no way it's going to be a Ludwig. It's got 10 bucks for this sticker price. And sure enough, look at the record and it's got RL on both sides. I'm like, wow. So, and it was the second copy that I had ever owned. And the first copy had 3 skips on it. Played this one for the first time I'd ever listened to it without a skip.
Oh,
And
nice.
really great experience. And you know the record is maybe like a $200 record. I've seen people sell like a VG Plus or a near mint copy of that for like $800 or more.
Jeez.
You don't. That's a record. You're if you have a G plus VG minus copy of, you are good. You are set
Mhm.
because when that like they're like the first time I heard that was like in high school. I had a CD digital remaster.
Okay.
When I go and listen to this Robert Ludwig hot mix record, when I put that on my turntable, like there are sounds that I like don't even like hear in any other mastering.
Oh, okay.
Like it's the mastering of it is just so loud that you can have your volume on your receiver up as just a normal whatever volume. And even as songs are fading out, you're hearing like vocal arrangements that you didn't hear before, little instrument you know noises that you didn't hear prior to it, so it's a fun experience. And I think it's cool that legends like that exist, for record collectors like us. But the funny thing about that is like Robert Ludwig actually pressed a few records before that had the same issues. So I think like there's like Jimi Hendrix Electric Ladyland is one of them.
Okay.
Where it's like if you put it on a cheap turntable, it'll give you like issues and skipping and like stuff like that. So yeah, I mean, you use Discogs very much?
For purchasing?
Or referencing or database purposes?
Yeah. I mean, I catalog everything.
Because you can basically go to like any Led Zeppelin 2 Robert Ludwig hot mix, click on the line where it says like lacquer cut by RL, click on his name, and it will tell you every record of every lacquer that he cut in the 60s.
Oh,
And
wow.
so it's quite, I mean, it's funny how we just talk about that one record because there were a lot of other records, like Pulse is a record that he pressed, Jimi Hendrix, and there were just a lot, because that wasn't when a lot of like the heavier records were just starting to, before heavy metal,
Right.
heavy metal hadn't really been coined yet, and
Right.
heavier records were just starting to get made, and turntables at that time weren't quite ready for them. So I mean, it is funny how people talk about that one record, but I'm a little bit surprised that like maybe someone on YouTube hasn't done a deeper dive, or like Noble Records, for example, like because he's like the biggest.
Yeah, Dylan is like major
Yeah,
on the
like
Zeppelin
he'll
and
talk
that
about
one.
that record. Like, I'm surprised he hasn't come out with a video, be like, check out that Pulse record, or check out Electric Ladyland, or I don't know. Funny thing is because when I first discovered that record because of Dylan at Noble Records.
Okay.
And it was like, I can't believe I had never even heard of it when I started hearing
I
it.
knew nothing of it until probably the last year or two.
Okay.
Never even thought of a certain mix or a certain mastering from back in the day.
Yeah, but I mean that sort of thing, and just, I mean, God bless it. I mean, we have Discogs.
Real quick. Sorry, there's a comment that came in about 15 minutes ago. So if Scott McCarthy, here, let me see. I guess I could. Should. Yeah, I miss midnight release parties at local record shops. Yes, attended several of those.
Yeah, I miss. Yeah, no, I mean, it's funny that you say that about midnight release parties. Certain releases will come out, like it can't be like every single week, but Homer's down in our old market here in Omaha. They did this for the newest Melanie Martinez. They did it for Taylor Swift. And the ironic thing about that is Taylor Swift's record is called Midnights. So they had a midnight release for Taylor Swift Midnights. They did it for Metallica, the most recent one. So it's like they still do that. It's like if there is hype behind something, they'll be like, all right, we're going to open up at midnight, and people will line up. It's no joke.
Probably two that I worked at that were great. What was the first one? The first one had to have been Sponge for Wax Ecstatic.
Okay.
They had just played a few nights earlier as the opening act for Kiss at Tiger Stadium, the very first reunion show.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and I was at that one. That was, I mean, as a child of the 70s and Kiss being the phenomenon that they were in the 70s, that was like a dream come true to actually see Kiss original members in makeup and all that stuff. But it was Sponge, Alice in Chains, one of the last ones with Lane, and obviously Kiss. So a couple days later, they were going to be releasing their second album, Wax Ecstatic, and at the store I worked at, Harmony House, they had them performing about at 10:30, 11 o'clock, and they had a little raised area where like a lot of the staff did, a lot of their clerical work, but they removed the desks there. And I remember being part of like the human barricade. We were all like arms linked together with our backs to the crowd. I had combat boots because it was the 90s, so the heel of my boot was stuck in the corner of the stage, and we would just lean back because it was hundreds of people in this place. And when they were done performing, everyone had to leave the store but get in line, and they could buy the album, and the guys would sign it.
That's cool.
Second one was the following year when Insane Clown Posse released The Great Malenko. And that was hilarious because they made like this within the store. They made a room, this little box, like I don't know, like 8x8 box, and they would let in 4 fans in at a time. And these guys are big into wrestling, so they would kind of go into like wrestle hype mode and berate all their fans. And it was the most hilarious thing, listening. That thing probably went on till about 4 a.m. It was crazy, but it was entertaining. So
yeah.
Have you ever done?
What's that?
Have you ever done a midnight sale like?
So, yeah, no. When I worked at Homer's from like 2004 until like 2009, and this is more like when I worked in Lincoln, I never did this, but in Omaha, is like all the midnight sales. I would attend, I would help, and like there was something to me that was just like thrilling about like people. It's midnight when we would normally not even be open, but here's everybody is like, we need to get the new 9 Inch Nails, or like we need to get the new, like, I'm trying to even remember, like 9 Inch Nails for sure was one of them. And like back then though, it was even, there would be like 5 like CDs. It wouldn't be just like one. It would be like, 5 CDs. So like, now they can do it for just like the Metallica release. But it's like, 15 years ago, it'd be like Metallica, and then the new Gwen Stefani, and then the new 9 Inch Nails, and then the new Dave Matthews Band, all in one night. And you'd get just like, you'd get 200 people outside your door waiting for this stuff. So,
right. So, in Omaha, because I know nothing of Omaha. I've been through there when I was truck driving, but like Homer's, would they have like an in-store, like someone coming in to sign stuff? And
now like where you're at, like in Seattle area or like Detroit, like we wouldn't get like Dave Grohl's going to do an autograph signing, or like I don't know, I'm trying to think of a good example, like that kind of stuff we wouldn't get. But we would get like, smaller up and coming indie bands are doing an in-store performance. So we get stuff like that. But the funny thing about being in Omaha is like, and not being like Denver or LA or New York, is like we get excited about all that, like, an in-store performance.
Because it would seem like for someone to be there, they put in the effort to go there, because it is easy to go to a Denver or an LA, like you said, or
it's like
a major hub.
Or it's like when stuff would happen like that in our city, people would like sort of think like, hey, we thought this stuff happens in bigger cities. So like when it would happen for us, we would like, people would sort of like kind of appreciate it. But I'll tell you, it's like you know, that hype, it's just like it doesn't really exist anymore, but you can kind of get away with doing it a couple times a year. So like record store day, it's like Taylor Swift, but it's like, you know, I mean, the thing is like, could you do it with like Kiss anymore? It's like, could you do it with like Ozzy Osbourne anymore? And the reason why I say that, I don't think you can.
No, I think the last time record store day where they actually had the ambassador show up was Metallica, when they
Yeah.
played Rasmussen in San Francisco.
But see,
Um,
it's like you can't do that stuff like that everywhere.
no, and I think also with the advent of the meet and greet, where you have to pay extra.
Yeah.
I think the days of the in store, unless it is like you're saying, like an up and coming artist, yeah, the in store is kind of a thing of the past, especially with the
Yeah.
established artists. Because I worked a bunch of those.
Yeah.
I was at the store.
Well, I'll
And
tell you, man, it's like in a bigger city, you get more of that stuff. Like
right.
when we would get an in store, whether it was Omaha or Lincoln, it just became like this big deal. Like we almost couldn't even handle it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, I don't know. It's like because sometimes we didn't even have like the staff to prepare for it. Where like in a big city, it's like you just have so many people to like coordinate and arrange all that stuff. But
Right. Well, because I worked for a chain, and of course, it would be the people who worked at that store, but then you'd have other people coming in from other stores. I volunteered for a bunch of, I mean, especially if it was someone I loved. Uh, Prime example, 1998. They weren't even out on tour. They were just promoting their live album, the reunion live album of Black Sabbath. Black Sabbath, my all-time favorite band. Of course, I'm going to be working that thing.
yeah,
And I'm guessing, I'm estimating probably about 500 people showed up to that thing, and I'd have to. The stipulation is to get an autograph, you had to buy either the CD or the cassette of
yeah,
Reunion, and out telling people, yeah, you got to buy the CD or the cassette. Well, will they sign my guitar? They're only going to sign the cassette or the CD. Well, will they sign my milk crate of, the first 8 albums? They're
I'll
only
tell
going
you
to.
what, man. Yeah, those bands, they like. It's like there's the bands, and then there's the super fans.
Mm-hmm.
And while the super fans find the band very relatable, they
Right.
are on completely two different worlds. So,
Right.
like, you know, Metallica's sitting here on fucking Jupiter, and the Metallica fan is sitting over here on Pluto. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? It's like
Oh,
it's
yeah.
just like Metallica. Like these bands hate dealing with those types of like goofy people who just like are
Yeah.
super obsessive with them.
And
Or I don't
and
know.
and you using Metallica as the example. I have experienced that during And Justice for All. I did meet them at their hotel.
Oh, dude, no,
And,
I used to be that person too with many bands.
um,
And I even like think back of certain moments and be like, God, they probably just thought I was an idiot. Or like,
oh
God,
yeah,
they probably just wanted me to leave them alone so bad.
oh yeah.
But
Well, and this is when they were still in their heavy drinking
yeah,
days, and this is like the next day they were coming out of their hotel. I stayed the
yeah.
night in the parking lot of their hotel, and I and my dad swung by and brought me like a slice of Little Caesars pizza. I remember that. Why I remember that, I have no idea. But he noticed that the limo was pulling up. He's like, "Yeah, I think your boys might be coming out." So I walked in the lobby. I was the only fan there,
That's
and
crazy.
I'm sitting at there was in the lobby. There was a table and 4 chairs around the table, and there was Who was it? Was James, Kurt, and Jason sitting there, and all night long I'm thinking, oh, I'm going to ask him this, ask him this, ask him that, and my, LED went blank.
Yeah.
You guys are great. And then Lars finally came down, who I spoke to briefly the night before, and he looks at me, he's like, "You're still here?"
Yeah.
But
funny thing you got to remember, I mean, these people, like, we idolize them.
Yeah.
We looked up to them, like, for you, like Ozzy, you probably like listened to for years, and it would be hard for you to meet Ozzy Osbourne, or maybe, or I don't know.
Well, that Black Sabbath in store, they had to shut down the line several times because Ozzy's bladder is the size of a squirrel's.
Yeah.
So he had to go to the bathroom a bunch of times, and actually, I'll have to stand up and do this. It was during one of the breaks, and probably the only time I ever got really starstruck. He was coming out of the bathroom, going back to his place, and I walk up to him, like, with my CD, and I'm like, I eventually got the autograph, but
that's funny. Yeah, no, I'm trying to, like, I've had similar moments. So, like, I'm a big Replacements fan, and I had an opportunity to meet Paul Westerberg, and ironically enough, he had just gotten injured at a previous show, and he was on crutches.
Mm-hmm.
And so he was like, yeah, if you want to come back and meet me after the show, that's fine. But you had to go in his tour bus, and like he was sitting like leg up, and it was just, I'll be real honest with you, it was like one of the first times I've ever experienced like going on somebody else's tour bus.
Right.
And it was like, this is weird. Like, I can't think of another band or artist that would have let me on their actual tour bus to get an autograph.
Especially at his level. The ones I've done, these guys are so up and coming. They were like, yeah, please come on, hang out with us.
Well, Paul at this point, I mean, was playing for his old fans. So, like, it wouldn't have been like, 10 years earlier, he wouldn't have been able to let people on his tour bus. But I mean, I remember sitting there, and I was just trying to tell him as much stuff as I possibly could. Like, some people are just like, they don't know what to say, or like they're too shy or nervous and they don't say anything, or they're so humble, maybe even, that they just don't say anything. And here I am, I'm like sitting here trying to be like, this is your best song you've ever written. This is better than any song you've ever written in your first 3 albums that you ever, like, I was like so nerdy. Like, he probably just, my level of nerdiness, like, was like so casual to him, and even so far beyond what he even thinks, like, regularly. So
I just want to say, Scott, I'm not ignoring you. I was reading your thing. So you went to a signing of Lords of Acid at the Tower Records in Chicago. Was it just, I can't think of her name. Was it just the singer, or was it the whole band? Because I only know the one singer. Saw them once. The Lords of Acid live, when the bass kicks in, your vision will blur. That's how loud that show was. So I'm sorry. Go ahead, William.
I mean, it's just like, I think the only point I was trying to make was, we get so starstruck by bands, artists, things that we love. And I think part of it is we sort of like force ourselves to spend all this time with our favorite artist body of work. Mm-hmm. And then when we go to meet this person, we sort of view them as like a god. But the funny thing is like how you were just saying, Ozzy Osbourne has a tiny bladder. Ozzy Osbourne got to go use the bathroom 12 times a day. It's like,
Right.
these are people just like us. They need to eat food just like us. They have the same many daily habits. And it's just like the older I get, like I just sort of realize like these people want to be treated like they're just regular humans. Or like
Right.
I met the rapper Common in 2009 coming
Okay.
back from New York City, and it was a random encounter at the airport. And I swear I was in college. I was like 24 years old. I was like almost literally shit my pants because I still do love Common. And I met him. I sat there and I talked to him, but I was barely able to contain myself. And the look on his face, like he looked like he was frightened, even though he's at an airport, even though he's around, like,
Right.
he's going to get
Security.
like, and in the worst case scenario, if I like try and like, attack him or something, he's got security there at the very least, but he's still like, this dude is like, it's like, I don't know, man. So like, I feel like in a way, musicians and artists, they want that attention, but then once they get it, they're like, man, can y'all just chill out? I'm just a dude just like you. Or I don't know.
Right. And again, working at the record store and going to shows and a lot of the after shows, which now are considered meet and greets, but
yeah,
you end up talking to these people, and the last thing they want to talk about is about them.
right.
So I remember
some of them are, yeah. Some of them are so full of themselves. Don't want to interrupt. I'm sorry. Let me finish. They love talking about themselves. But anyway,
yeah. No, it's just like this was at a Typo Negative show on the October Rust tour, and we're upstairs of the venue, and I'm talking to Johnny Kelly, their drummer, and I must have talked to him for about an hour, and we're just talking about just everyday bullshit. And I mean, he's a gearhead.
Yeah.
Even though I'm from Detroit, I am not a gearhead. But I was telling him, it's like, hey man, if you ever get the chance, if you're off in August, you got to come out here. End all coast. We call it the Woodward Dream Cruise, which is like 26 miles of Woodward Avenue of nothing but classic cars. I remember one time the news estimated between participants and spectators, they estimated that there was 3 million people at this thing. Yeah, for a car show. So when I hear around here, oh yeah, we're gonna have a car show, we got about 35 cars showing up, that's pretty impressive. I'm like, yeah, that's like a parking lot of
yeah,
one of the places, but I was telling him, it's like, man, you got to come out to this thing, you'll love it. And yeah, when you realize that these people are just that, they're people.
Yeah. No, or like, yeah, no, there's been that Red Bull Music Academy thing. Okay, so like maybe like 10 years ago, I don't know how big this thing is now, but Red Bull Music Academy used to sponsor these events where they would have like an art, like they would pay to have this artist go to like some town. The artist would play a show, but then there would be like this whole interview where like the artist would sit in a room and there would be a select number of people who could come and ask the artist. It was this really intimate, atmosphere, and you could just like, an artist everyone would love. We had one come through Omaha. The artist was so small that I don't even remember the artist that came through, but you can like, YouTube, like they did one for MF Doom, which was really cool. And it's like, it is like one of those moments where it's like, how often do you catch an artist like, at the airport and someone wants to flag him down and just talk to him and talk to him and talk to him and talk to him and be like,
right.
What was really cool about the Red Bull Music Academy is like, this is a good chance for the artist to sit down. It's a civil, like organized. We can ask you all these questions we want to know. We can hear the question. We can hear your answer, and it's like it's cool to watch because we don't have to feel like I'm witnessing the artist being harassed or whatever. So I don't know. I don't know if they do how heavy they do that stuff anymore, but it was a pretty big thing maybe 10 or 15 years ago. But
I think at a lot of these meet and greets, they try to do it because it sounds like that was more like a Q&A type situation.
Yeah, totally.
I think some of those meet and greets or VIP packages that they have now, I think some of them are going in that route. I know recently, this past spring, the industrial band Skinny Puppy.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of footage of their VIP meet and greet stuff. And I don't blame them because they didn't want to, shake hands and kiss babies type thing. Because,
not their thing.
I've dealt with it, several times where I've seen an artist, they're like, I'm sick, and even Ogre, the singer, was kind of like, I might even have something and give it to you. I don't want to do that to you either. So they have the band on stage that you get for that one. I think you got like 2 or 3 songs sound check, and you were able to there was a question and answer section, and you could ask him, from there, and he would answer questions, or Kevin Key would answer questions, and I think that's kind of a cool situation too.
Yeah.
Let's see, Scott. Yeah. So Scott, how was Scott? Do you have a camera? Because see if you want to join in, even though we're coming up. We're after 3 hours on this thing.
Yeah, it's getting pretty late. I was gonna say it's like I don't know, it's like 1:30 where I'm at, but
it's 11:30 here. If we keep this at like another 15 minutes, Scott, do you want to join in if you got a camera? And it'll take about
send him the StreamYard link. But
yeah,
I'm getting a little tired here. I was probably gonna jump off.
All right,
here in a little bit, but
give us a couple seconds here for Scott to answer because I appreciate.
Well, and Scott, I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know you. I just saw you here in the chat tonight, but I just started.
I think I know Scott from a Facebook group.
Okay. Well, I just started my VC channel, so I don't know if that's kind of what he's here for, but yeah, go check it out. I'm still sitting on like 60 subscribers, so need all the support I can get.
Absolutely. Well, and like you said, we were talking about earlier, you have a different angle on yours as opposed to a lot of us just like, this is what I got, or I stopped doing this is the haul I got. This because I don't even get. Let's see, I'm laying in bed watching my phone. Okay.
Well, part of it was like I didn't want to like everyone's got their style,
right?
And it's like to me, like I'm out on the road so often. I'm out on a daily basis, sometimes for several hours out of the day. Like I've just been trying to like, how can I put what I'm doing into a YouTube video? And it's taken me so long to like, because like I go out digging for 8 hours in a day, but I can't put 8 hours of that day's content up on YouTube and expect people to watch the whole thing.
And that's why I'm like thinking that even this, I don't. This is the free StreamYard, so I don't even think this is even recording. And I don't think anyone's going to sit through 3 hours of this stuff.
Oh, well, this will eventually be on. If this is you're hosting this on your YouTube channel, right?
Yeah.
So you'll have like a 3-hour video like the next morning that you can watch back.
Yeah, but I'm like, who the fuck's gonna watch this?
Yeah, but see, that's why
even Steve and I were talking about possibly like scaling back because ours was averaging hour 45, 2 hours, and
we'll see.
Even that, we're trying to scale
real quick because no one's gonna watch this 3 hours into it, probably more than likely. Right. But when I do my live streams on Sunday, I kind of just like I set it open. So like at 60 subscribers, I don't expect anybody to come in. But let me do a little stream. This is something that I think I could do live, quick and easy. And let me just make a video. Like no matter what, the video I'm trying to make, I want to make it digestible for the person who's watching it. So
Right. Yeah.
sometimes like when I did that Kansas Bandit video, that was like the first video I made where I was like, okay, I need to reevaluate like the content that I'm making because I can't just upload an hour and a half of me looking for like I mean I was on that trip for 12 hours. I thought I condensed the video down to an hour and a half. I was like, all right, this is good. It's like no, I could have condensed that down to like under an hour still. So it's just like
and even this at 3 hours, this was just a winging it. This is to me, this was like, you know, hey William, you want to come over to my house and hang out for a while?
Sure, yeah.
This is all this is.
Yeah.
You know, this is not like we're gonna talk about this, we're gonna talk about this, we got this scheduled, and
yeah,
you know, this was literally one of those things like, hey, you want to come over and have some drinks and talk shit? Okay.
This is a good this is the format of a lot of live streams. And then there are people who do like they have like a 6 to 8 person panel where like we're talking about a topic and everyone can give their opinion or whatever. But then there are people like, hey, we're just shooting the shit. Come on, it's Sunday. Like I like how the VC does like Sunday afternoon. See if you know channels pop up live streaming. You jump in and we're just shooting the shit, talking about what we found this week or you know.
Yeah, I mean, because I remember you did just like a test run on your live not too long ago.
Well, I'm trying to do every Sunday, and at least like you know a 20-ish minute video live on Sunday. See who comes in, and it's like you start small and just see how much it grows. And part of it is like if I come every Sunday and I do a live stream every Sunday, people will eventually be like, oh, hey, the William V Taper has a live stream every Sunday. So it's like part of it is developing consistency and then not like, you know, if I have like you were in there the first time, I had another subscriber, old school, in there on the last Sunday. It's like if I got just one person in there, you know, I'm going to just, you know, I'll interact with you guys a little bit, but it's like, I also got to keep making this video to be like, I can't be here, like, you know, and expect everybody to be interested for the entire like hour or whatever. So, you know, I don't know. It's like, I am honestly, I mean, I want to make a channel where like I have 1,000 subscribers or like, you know, I make a Target video and people like, I don't want to make a Target video because Target's going to pay me for advertising. That's not, they don't do that. I don't want to make a Target video to, you know, be like, hey guys, I bought all these records at Target. This is what I love. It's like, I want people to watch my Target video, go to the Target in their city, buy the records that they saw, some of them what they saw on my channel, and be like, hey, this guy is a good source for that kind of stuff. That's what I'm trying to build. At the same time, it might take forever. It might not even happen. So,
well, hey, but you never know.
You never know.
You know, exactly. And, it, you know, what does it cost you? Time, you know, to do that?
Time is money.
So, yeah, well, yeah, but, you know, you're still going in and, you know, it still ties in with what you're doing. So,
but I'll tell you what, like, so when I made that Target clearance live stream a few weeks ago, I went into Target around my city after I made that video, and it was already getting picked over. So I'm not saying that people went and saw my video and then they started buying up a bunch of records, but I wouldn't doubt that there are those people out there who saw my video and be like, all right, I'm going to a Target. And Target easily could have, you know, I think it was a good enough video.
Right.
I mean, that's probably the video I made was probably better advertising than anything they could have paid for.
Right. Well, because our hobby is still extremely niche.
Yeah.
And, you know, people walk by that section, you know, in droves. They don't even notice it.
Right.
But those who know go there. So
Yeah. Well, I don't know. It's like, I think even like sometimes I'll show a record that I don't particularly love, but it's more like I like to talk about a record that someone will gain it, a viewer might gain interest. So,
mhm.
just trying I don't know. It can be tough to, create content that I'm not necessarily interested in. Like the records I would want to talk about on on my channel, I mean, I don't know that anybody would be interested in hearing me talk about them. Or it's
Right.
like there's the Denise record. I don't have it around me at an arm's length, but the Denise record with the blind lady sitting in the wicker chair. It's like I can't
Okay.
expect, I would love 1,000 people to subscribe to me and love hearing my Denise stories. But it's like,
Mhm.
I mean, I feel like I'd be better off telling a story about Kiss or telling a story about Van Halen,
Right.
So I try and make videos people are interested in. And that's all I can do. And then if I do that, I can squeeze in like my little like, hey, Ernest Tubb record kind of thing. You know what I'm saying?
Right. There you
So,
go.
yeah.
All right. Well, yeah. If you
It's
notice,
late.
it's been 3 hours and I still have yet to take a pee break. So
All right. Well, I'm in the same boat. So just have these few beers. Now I got to let them loose. So
right on. Well, it's Scott McCarthy. If you're still on, have a good night.
thanks, Scott.
William, thanks
Yeah.
for coming on. And like
No
I said,
problem. Thanks for having me, Trevor.
this was just coming over and having drinks over at the house.
It was great shooting the shit with you and having a few drinks. Cheers.
Right on, my man. All right. Well, you take care.
All right.
We'll
You
see
do
you
the
guys.
same.
Right.
All right.
Bye.